What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is Agree to Disagree, talking some Eagles. Phillies lose 2 or 3 from the Mets, but here come the Reds to get the bats going. Let's go. Let's go.
This ain't the rock night, or this game can heat stink.
Oh shit!
It's gone.
Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome in, everybody. This is Agree to Disagree, only on A2D Radio every Sunday. We are brought to you by our doc. Got to make him yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill locations. Find them right down there on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. No Brian Wilson tonight, concert goer on this lovely Sunday. We got Nick Delgazzo, Greg Mwagvik. I'm Tom Arnone. The usual crew's with us. Everybody out there, welcome in. We got a lot to talk about. We'll do Crumb of the Week at the end of the show like we do here weekly. Preseason has begun. Not that I really care, but the Eagles played a game, meaningless, a glorified practice. But we'll talk on it a little bit. Obviously, some positives, but you can't overreact to anything in the preseason. But it's obviously 'tis the season. It's right around the corner. So when this season comes around, we talk a lot of Eagles here as well. Phillies wild card hopes. We'll discuss that throughout the show. Phillies Mets series recaps our main topic at hand. Phillies lose 2 out of 3 to the New York Mets. Score 1 run in the series, so that's a good time. And 2 runs in their last 4 games, which is the first time they've done that in 22 years. So anything that goes back 22 years, you probably don't want to be in company of. But here we are. Listen, you're going to lose games, right, at the big league level. Right? It's a long season. You're going to go through your ups and your downs, especially at the plate. No Schwarber doesn't help your offense. It's already missing a guy like Bryce Harper. But the bats were dead. And listen, I'll chalk up the DeGrom game, right, when DeGrom's in, because obviously we know what he is. But today you gotta swing the bats a little bit, okay? And I need my ace today to come in and shove it right up the Mets, you know what? And he didn't get it done today either. So listen, it's the way it goes. We move on to the next series, but this will all tie into our poll question, which is brought to you by Manscaped, and you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Weed whacker, lawnmower, ball deodorant. Manscaped's got you covered with so many great products. So make sure you use promo code A2D and get 20% off and free shipping with your order. Our poll question for tonight's show. The weekend series against the Mets has changed your outlook for the Phillies' playoff chances. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, that's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, 5-star review us. You know the deal. And bigger than all of it, comment in. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Answer the poll question. Get whatever you got to get Phillies off your chest. And like we talked about, you got Eagles, you got Sixers. I mean, nobody has Flyers comments, but the other two are always welcome. And Flyers are welcome here on Tuesday nights on the Hockey Happy Hour, okay? Because they're forced to do it. Us here, we're not. Nobody's tying our hands, okay? Our poll question. The weekend series against the Mets has changed your outlook for the Phillies' playoff chances. Agree or disagree? I disagree. It didn't change anything. I would have loved to go win 2 or 3. Now, if you're asking me my outlook in the playoffs, if we got there, no. I don't know what that. I don't know what 2 games in August do for me in October. But our chances of still making the playoffs and the outlook, I still believe this is a wild card team, and whatever wild card that is, I still think they're gonna find themselves in it. Okay, they pitch really well. Listen, bats go silent sometimes, especially against great pitching. The old adage, great pitching will beat good hitting all day and will beat great hitting a lot of times too. So we know how that goes. And this series was just one of those. But it was ugly. I mean, today's unacceptable. I told you guys that already. I got no time for today. The first two games of the series, Scherzer, DeGrom. I mean, DeGrom's on a pitch count. He's out of 75. I would like to see you get to the pen a little bit, right? I mean, hit the pen around a little bit. But guess what? You can only when you're like we're constructed, you can only lose so many big bats and expect to like not hit these kinds of slumps, right? Where you got nobody really in your lineup loses a baseball right now. I mean, the only guy left was Schwarber, really, right? If you really look at it, him not being in it really takes that away. I mean, Alex swung a great bat this year, obviously, right? No Harper kills you in terms of the long ball. I mean, Nick got hot for like a half a minute, and then he showed his true colors this series against the Mets. So we know what he is right now. He's a guy sleeping in Ben Simmons' bed. When you look at JT has some chances today, obviously. He hooked the one foul. That was smoked, and then you know how that goes. Like, all right, yep, he's going to strike out now. And then boom, 2 pitches later, he's done. But I disagree. I still think they're a playoff team. One, because of the expanded wild cards. I mean, that really helps you out. And two, nobody else is really running away with anything, really. I mean, the Braves are playing great baseball. Obviously, again, they went through a little 5-5 and 10 a little bit ago. But after that, they've rattled off like three or four in a row at this point. The Padres are really good, right? We know this. We know they're really good, okay? But then I look at the Brewers, and, that's a game and a half behind us, just to talk about those teams, right? The Brewers don't scare me. And, in terms of being like, if I'm in a neck-to-neck fight with the Brewers to get in, I'm nervous. Now, what's underneath that? Cardinals, I believe, Giants. There's some teams.
Cardinals are above it.
Above it. Sorry.
But yeah, the Giants are the next closest at 6-pack.
And 6-pack.
So it's 500 today with a walk-off. Yeah.
So it's Milwaukee and us, and that's what I thought. Okay, so we're in the third. We're in the
that's
third,
why.
Right?
I mean, you hit it right. Sorry, but that's why you hit it right on the head right there. Especially being the third. Having 3 this year. I mean, that's why. You shouldn't be. You want to continue to play well, but you shouldn't be. There's really no worries. Especially when you're the measuring stick. To me, is the Dodgers. I mean, like, listen, you can be, there's nothing wrong with being fans. And like, listen, I'm the Cardinals / Phillies guy. You guys are Phillies guys, all right? Doesn't mean that we don't have hope. I mean, I'm not speaking for you guys. I'm not saying that you guys are waving the white flag. Anything can happen in baseball, right? But when you're trying to, when you're building the team, season, and the season starts, and the goal should always be to win it all. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's wasn't what the Phillies, tried to do, or anybody tries to do. But you get to the point where, like, listen, you're fighting City Hall. You know what I mean? When you talk about the Dodgers, you know what I mean? And the Mets just had an incredible special year thus far as well too. They haven't got to be the playoff Mets yet. But when you're talking about the Dodgers, it's like, or is everybody playing for second? And in baseball, we know anything can happen. So I don't want to be that guy that just, that's negative Nancy, you know what I mean? But like, come on, they're very, nobody really matches up with them. You know what I mean? Like on this side, you know what I mean? A couple American League teams do, but nobody really does on this side. You know what I mean? And, because, it helps to have Harper back. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Like that guy's your heart and soul. You know what I mean? They played, they did a tremendous job without him. You know what I mean? I don't want to say treading water because they actually swam ahead. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been okay if they treaded water. I mean, you can use any.
No, they were an Olympic swimmer without him.
You can use any you want. They Mike Phelps this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Since he went out. You know what I mean? So. Credit to them, but it's just, some guys, just aren't good enough. And today, and listen, a lot of teams have their holes, you know what I mean? So it's not like today wasn't the thing that, like you said, great poll question, but today wasn't the one, the game where you say, oh, well, that's it. It's over. But today was monumental in August. All right. And that's what, if people don't realize that, you're crazy. All right. And Wheels has been good for 2 years, but this is a game where you win a series. You win a series. You're not going to catch him in the division. I know people are hoping. That's great. You're not going to catch him in the division because you always have to sweep him every time you play him. You know what I mean? Because if you did take 2 out of 3, you picked up 1 game. That's the depressing part of being 10 back. You know what I mean? But you got a chance to get the taste in your mouth, win a series, win another series. With your dude on the mound, you know what I mean? And 6 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs. That's not good enough. That's terrible. That's terrible. And then, you got second and third, no outs. We know, and that's why we say, hey, well, we just let Verling play. Just, he's just a young kid. And I get it. I'm with you, Greg. That's not a shot at you. We want to give guys some body of work, But there you are, dude. Like, it's Chris Bassett. He's a good major league pitcher. Right, but he ain't no Cy Young guy. Come on, dude. Let's pump the brakes. And he just blows away Verling in a spot where you pick up 2 runs there. If you hit 2 ground balls to second base, you pick up 2 runs there. All right, and before it was 6-0, when it was still a ball game, that was second and third, no outs. So today was today's nothing to sneeze at. So it's just another game in the grand scheme of things, but. To me, it was a huge game, especially, with your ace on the mound. And that's, the kind of effort you had offensively and the kind of effort he gave you. And it's just, it leaves you scratching your head. So, the schedule's favorable and now it's time to go, get healthy against the Reds and maybe, and you await Harper's arrival back and see what happens.
Yeah, good news. He's, obviously taking BP tomorrow. So that's a, sign in the right direction. That's only going to help this team. But, you're right.
Machine, I think, right?
Yeah, this team's been Olympic swimming, like we talked about, since he went out. And they were playing good baseball, obviously, right before, he got hurt, too. So they were starting to play good baseball with him. Only going to help getting a guy like that back. But they're not deep enough or good enough. And today's another example. It shows you when you're without Schwarber, too. Like, as much as we talk about his batting average and we've been critical of him on that type of thing, but nobody that can lose a baseball, nobody really feared in your lineup. And Sleeps, you nailed it, right? When you strike out Veerling and Stott, you blow them away, and they look like, and it looks foolish. It just shows you, like, that's why with all due respect to Bryson, he's a guy at the bottom of the lineup guy right now. Henley and Lawford, you're in trouble just because he's not ready for that yet. I don't care what he did against Scherzer on Friday. That's great, but he's a young kid. He's going to have his ups and downs. So you just don't have enough firepower because Nick and JT have been way better. Don't get me wrong, but in this series they've both been shit to me. All right, and I think that's as obvious by their numbers. I know Nick's had some hits. Cool story. None of them came with guys on base. All right, we're talking about hollow shit. That's hollow shit to me. Okay, because I'm cool. You walked second and third, 2 outs. You drew a walk there. Good at bat. Okay, still if you swung 3-0. On an off-speed pitch, I feel like, and even if it was a fastball, you rolled it over. All right, so it just showed me your timing and everything's all off with you. All right, so you draw a walk there. But there's been numerous times in this series that he's came up with guys on base and just your eye test didn't get it done. All right, so I don't care what kind of series he had by the numbers, didn't get it done. JT didn't get it done. This is where you need your big money guys to swing it, especially when you're missing another big piece to your lineup. So, and those guys, unlike the way Alec and Schwarber and other guys have hit without Segura and Harper, those 2 guys need to step up and come through in a series like this, right? And I know they've been both playing tremendous baseball, swinging it a little bit the last 2 weeks. JT a little bit longer than that, but Nick's been like, a week and a half. He's been swinging it well. So, listen, I'll give him credit, but, these guys are getting paid a lot of money. They're going to go through their ups and downs, but I need some big hits this series, and they didn't put it together, and that's what happens. You don't have – if you have Schwarber and Harper, maybe one of them put it together this year. Maybe one of them's hot. So, and that's the difference. But in terms of today, I agree with Sweeps. Like, today I almost joked with you guys, it's a fun season, right? Because that kind of loss bothers me too. I'm not going to say it changes my chances of making the playoffs. No, I still think we're a playoff team because like what we talked about. But in terms of how good we can be, right, that's the sign. Like Noah showed me last night how good we can be, right? Oh wow, he's pitching like that. We know how Wheeler's pitching. Okay, great. But Wheeler comes out today, and you're like, hey, this is where the ace shows up.
There's a dud, yeah.
Yeah, this is where this guy knows I got to struggle on offense. That's been struggling for the last 2-3 games. Well, really 3 games going into today, right? 3 games of struggling, 2 runs in 3 games. That's struggle. So as an ace, right, I got to go out there and I got to shut the door down. Listen, I might give up 1 run through 7. Fine, that's a great job. I'm not telling you to throw goose eggs up across the board. I'm just telling you, make it a 2-0 game. Make it a 1-0 game. Make it feel like you're in striking distance. And at no point did he do that. At no point did this offense today try to chip. Right? There was no chip, like Sweep said. Back-to-back strikeouts, second and third. Somebody just put a ball in play. Break the bat, put a ball in play.
especially with that lineup. Like that's the only thing I'm saying. Like if you lose a 2-0 game and you say, hey, listen, we didn't hit, we're missing Schwarbs, whatever, like you said, you hit one of those series, you hit a series where, you just didn't swing it offensively. You know what I mean? But that lineup is not very good. I don't care what Mets fans tell you. You know what I mean? Now it's the old adage, the whole is greater than the sum of their parts, right? And that's why they didn't really make any moves at the deadline, right? Because sometimes you really don't have to, right? You might, because if you're playing well as a team, why disrupt the apple cart? You know what I mean? So I understand maybe Mets fans were pissed off, but listen, when you're playing well, man, you don't have it's great to add somebody. That's great. It's like Christmas Day. You unwrap, you got yourself a new BMX bike. That's great. You know what I mean? Like, you've been hoverboarding around the whole neighborhood. So you were in good shape. It wasn't like you were running around the neighborhood, but now you got yourself a BMX bike. So I understand, getting guys at the trade deadline and stuff like that. And same with the Phillies. They had to make some moves. Don't get me wrong, but with Harper and Segura coming back, that's why you weren't in pressing need of, emptying the whatever farm system you have for bats. You know what I mean? You just needed, to pick up an arm or either a starter or a reliever, or, it turned out they were able to get a center fielder and, in the deal as well, and trading the young guy that the Angels wanted to, ended up poor guy back on the DL again. But so when you're playing, when you're a good baseball team, you don't always have to do those things. I think for me, I think it's worse. Like you just, you can mess up the chemistry, you mess up the locker room by bringing in somebody maybe with an ego or a me guy. So you got to be careful who you trade for, or who you bring in at the deadline. So. And I think Cohen, not that we want to talk about the Mets, we hate the Mets, but I think Cohen shows that he's got paper money. I mean, he plays with monopoly money. So it wasn't from a lack of that. It was just sometimes you got to stand pat. I mean, and I think that's partly Buck Showalter being an old school guy. I mean, like, hey, I'm okay here with we're getting DeGrom back, probably the best pitcher in the world. The last, it could be the last 10 years, there's been a lot of good pitchers. So maybe the last 5 years, I mean, some of those stats that you guys posted at A2D are absolutely bonkers. I mean, to have like 95 starts or whatever the hell it was with one run, like, are you shitting me? Like, is this guy, what's this guy playing? What, Bugs Bunny? Is Bugs Bunny? You got to go out and face Bugs Bunny. Like, it's insane to me, dude. Like, everybody has a clunker. Just like we talk about Wheels. Wheels has been fantastic, right? But, it wasn't a great time to have a clunker against your former team. But it happens. DeGrom never has one. He never has one.
So Sweeps.
Insane.
Yeah. It's even crazier than that, Sweeps. It's allowed one run or fewer in 98 of his 200 career starts. So
almost half of his starts.
49% of his starts, this dude's giving up one run or less, and it shows you how lack of offense the Mets bring when DeGrom pitches. I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
he won a Cy Young with a losing record, right?
Guy should be 98 wins. You know what I mean? He's got 98 wins. Are you kidding me? How does he not have 98? I don't know how many career wins he has, but if he doesn't have 98, it's a travesty. It's a travesty. I mean, one run or fewer in 98 of your 200 starts. That's every time you touch the ball, I'm putting you out there and saying, good chance this guy doesn't give up more than one. Like that.
How do you not go in the locker room and just start?
He's got 79 wins total.
Start punching dudes. It's insane. That is incredible. That's a remarkable stat. That just goes back to my point, a couple minutes ago. Like, and like we always say, like, hey, it's baseball, so we'll play whoever. We'll take our chances. You know what I mean? But when you're talking about the Mets, and it's no disrespect because they've done it this year. So I don't I don't try to shit on people that win. You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing a good job and you're having a good season, like, I'm going to give you credit. Unlike Keith Hernandez. You know what I mean? Who's going to find ways to try to poke holes things. You know what I mean? Like, remember, Keith, you guys are the Mets are underneath the Phillies fielding wise. So, you know what I mean? So, I give credit where credit's due. So, when you win, it doesn't, sometimes, you put lipstick on a pig and, it still might be the prettiest pig at the fair, So the Mets are, they're finding a way. So I'm not gonna absolutely kill them. But it's like you look at that lineup, and I'm like, yes, please. At age 46, and my 64-mile-an-hour fastball right now with a little bit of a knuckle curve, I feel like I got a shot at competing against the Mets on the mound. And maybe I don't. Maybe you laugh at me, but I mean, like, I got no fear in that lineup. You know what I mean? Like Lindor's bounced back. Not, old school Lindor, but bounced back to, the disaster he was when he got there, and the polar bear, yeah, he can lose one, but, he's not going to win. He's not going to win a batting title. So, maybe not miss middle in. That's all. This isn't a home run derby. And other than that, it's like, Marte, his numbers are pedestrian. So it's, I don't know, just not a scary lineup at all. And besides those two pitchers and their pens been nails, they scare you on the mound, you know what I mean? And that's, it goes without saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I disagree as well. Today, you guys hit it on the head. Today's loss was just a tough one, right? You could chalk up last night, right, with Noah, because Noah battled DeGrom 1-1, or, you know what I mean, 1-0. So those losses, and even if you would have lost today, as you guys said, 2-0, you know what I mean? 2-1, 3-1, something like that, where you felt like you were in the game against. Yeah, Ed Bassett, he's a good pitcher this year. He's nothing that should overpower a lineup, though. And Tommy, as you said, like JT and Nicky came up in a lot of big spots this series over the last two games. They came up in a lot of big spots for even just a single, right? A single does wonders for that offense, let alone losing a ball, right? Of course, we would love to lose a ball in a couple of those scenarios, but just a single. A ball in the gap, something, like they scored a lot today, right? A couple Texas leaguers or like bloopers, just something in play. But one thing it did do, though, and one thing as we started this, as we were continuing this streak, we started creeping up on the wild card. I want to stay in that third wild card spot, and that's no disrespect, obviously, to the St. Louis Cardinals, but I would rather play whoever wins the Central than obviously the Braves or the Padres, right? Or
yeah.
No, I want to stay in that third spot, right? Because I don't want to have to touch any of those other two teams right now. And now Padres obviously took a blow with Tatis getting banged again, or getting banged not again, but getting banged for PEDs. But I want to stay in that third wild card. I know, it's easy to say, hey, we hold the series. The season series over both of those teams. Cardinals are a really good team. We're, have to play really well to beat them. I'm not saying that just because obviously Sweepsy's here on the stream as well.
No,
but I would definitely rather play the Central winner than any of those other teams.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna. I just looked at it too, so I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, I'm sure you guys knew. I just was kind of just going along, just wondering. I remember we never really talked about it on our show, but I know it was, what it was, and I knew what it consisted of, and I never really looked at it till yesterday. So I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, it was crazy. The 2 buys and then, the 3-6 and 4-5 matchup, you know what I mean? So I didn't realize that the two top wild cards play each other. And then the third wild card obviously plays the third place team, which is, the Central, the other two. Yeah. The other two are runaway freight train. So yeah, no, absolutely. That's no disrespect. That's the matchup you want. You know what I mean? That's what you should go into. That's exactly, either one of those teams should scare you. You know what I mean? They're, Cardinals probably more than the Brewers, but
yes, there's no question.
No disrespect over them, but Brewers never do it for me. You know what I mean? So, with the Cardinals, you got the MVP. And that's not me just, being biased, it's Goldschmidt and Judge, I mean, if not, send me an email and I'll debate it with you, I guess, but whatever. Yeah, it's Goldschmidt and Judge, but, and Arenado has been awesome too, you know what I mean? So, and they just got a bunch of guys that, that play the game right, Waino's Waino. But, like you said, they don't have a dude on the mound that you're like, oh shit, I got to run to this dude. And that's always been their thing. You know what I mean? Like, I guess, at age 40, Waino's considered the guy, but he's not really, he's not, I love him. You know what I mean? But he's not DeGrom, you know what I mean? But they're, on the back end, they're a little more scary, you know what I mean? Because Helsley's pretty lights out.
Yeah, right now Goldschmidt's minus 140 to win the MVP. Riley's plus 500.
Yeah,
in the NL.
Not a bad dabble. Plus 500.
Yeah, Rouse has been great.
But he's going to need to be scorching too.
Well, especially, I mean, what if to your point though, Tommy, the dabble? What if the Braves overtake the Mets? Right? You know what I mean? Like, what if they go on a run here and overtake the Mets? Well, and obviously, it's probably due to Austin Riley.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So then, yeah, absolutely. He would definitely deserve it. Absolutely. That's it.
But listen, I'm not
a good point. You know what I mean? But if they stay where they're at and still play, good ball, and they both play good ball, and and the Cardinals win the Central, then it should be Goldie.
Yeah.
Good luck, Ryan. So he starts a new job tomorrow. Wish me luck. We wish you luck.
Good luck, Swoop.
Good luck, Ryan. Good luck, buddy. Give him hell.
I mean, Dan, I don't think anybody's going to sit here and say that the Phillies nor other big league teams aren't sloppy at times, but Keith Hernandez is a jackass for those comments. Because you obviously don't watch the Phillies every night, and you're talking about the Phillies of the last, let's say, going on 2 months prior to right now, and then a year back, right? We can just say that was a team that didn't play good defense. We watched it, but if we're talking about right in the current state of things, they played better defense. So, I think what he said was sort of just I don't want to call being a hater, but knowing his market, right? He knows he's in the New York market. He knows that's going to get a lot of clicks, a lot of likes, a lot of shares, and he capitalizes on a comment like that. But
yeah, we're only 26 minutes in. So, I mean, we already said today was a disaster, and that play was awful. And I wouldn't even kill JT. I don't consider that a drop. I guess you do. I mean, like when I text the boys when it happened and said, Segura, throw the fucking ball. You know what I mean? So, the fact that Marsh, 2 runs should never score on that. You know what I mean? So the fact that he got it in the Gene, it's a 100-foot throw that should be on the money, and McNeil's out by 10 feet. You know what I mean? It shouldn't even come to that. So, I mean, I agree with you. It's absolutely awful, and it's unacceptable. And it's where you want to lie the blame at. You know what I mean? It's just like you said, one of those days. So, it is what it is. But overall, they haven't, to Tommy's point, they haven't been playing like that. So
yeah, that's been our worst play in the last 2 months,
exactly.
3 months.
That's the only reason why, we're just making fun of Keith. You know what I mean? Like, listen, anybody can say whatever they want, especially if they work for a different organization. Like, go ahead, man. Like, like you said, that's who they're paying you, so you're supposed to, you're supposed to take shots at the rival. You know what I mean? Just be careful though. It becomes bulletin board material, and it becomes, it becomes a slippery slope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish it would have been become bulletin board material.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah. It didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, I mean, but again, as we kind of alluded to in all of our discussions too, tough to do that. Tough to be, bulletin material when you're missing a Schwarber on top of what you're already missing, right? You know what I mean? And then you're going up against the pitching that we did, right? I didn't expect this out of Bassett today, but you expected it out of Scherzer and DeGrom. That's for damn sure.
And didn't Marsh dive? I mean, I could.
No, he's just coming in at like 100 miles an hour and just overran.
No, I thought I'm just like having dad brain. I'm trying to remember if he dove. I thought he dove and then went after it a little lazy. Okay, I got you.
No, he just kind of came in, 100 miles an hour, didn't scoop it right away.
Yep.
And then, overran it going back. And yeah, I mean, it was a disaster of a play, but come on. I mean, we've played really good defense the last 2-3 months.
Yeah, we have. Pat, I agree with you. He says the lineup we have right now is so random and unbalanced. We need to get the boys back in the lineup. Yeah, I mean, absolutely we do. That's not making excuses. That's just this. Not saying this would continue, but it'd be nice to have some pop back, throughout this lineup. I know they've gotten it done smoke and mirrors per se without Harper, but I think we all know that, and without Harper and Segura, I think we all know that like that lasts in a long period of time isn't always the easiest thing either. It'd be nice to get those guys back, and you can then maybe start getting back in a rhythm as a lineup again, all together. before the playoffs begin.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I mean, even when we had our lineup, that is one thing, obviously, because we struggled so much at the beginning of the year. That's one thing we haven't done as a whole team anyway, is hit as a team. We'll have one or two games where you have three, four guys hitting together. But outside of that, we haven't. I don't think we've hit 1 through 8, 1 through 9 the whole year. Even when we were playing pretty good baseball.
yeah.
Dan says, I'll admit the last 8 weeks, you guys have been playing better. So obviously he's a Mets fan. He said his comments made public this week, but he made the request to miss the series in March, not last week, to be fair. Well, to be fair, like I'm just being fair back to him, Dan. To be fair to the one Mr. Keith Hernandez would tell you to shut your mouth, Keith. You're acting like you're watching the Bad News Bears. All right. I mean, there's way worse teams that come and play at Citi Field defensively than the Phillies. And I know they've been atrocious. Okay. But come on. I mean, you're not having a 50-win team come in, a 60-win team come in. Like, can we be fair now? Like, there's worse baseball than the Phillies. And the Phillies have not been good the last 10 years. Right? We know this. Okay. But there's worse baseball than that out there. So the poo-poo, and I don't want to do the Phillies. Okay, Keith, then don't do the Phillies. But you're going to sit there, you're going to do Diamondbacks? You're going to sit there and do – I'll just name bad teams over the last handful of years, right, that haven't made the playoffs. There's plenty of them, right? So, I mean, where do you want to go? If the Orioles came into town, did he do those games? I don't know if they've been in the last few years.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't remember all that, but just to Dan's point, and the Cardinals honored the 82 team this weekend. So that's where he was. You know what I mean? So I didn't know. Like, I had no idea if Keith said he wasn't going to do a game or he was dodging stuff. That's where he was this weekend. You know what I mean? Cardinals honored, that's, 40 years ago, the 82 World Series team. So he was in St. Louis this weekend celebrating with his boys. Giddy up.
So was that an easy way out? Was that an easy way out for Keith, that he knew he wasn't going to be there ahead of time? So he makes the comments, and then he looks like even more of a hero to Mets fans because he really wasn't there. Yeah, okay, all right, Keith. Like, with all due respect, like, leave the Phillies out of your mouth. What about the Mets? Because they haven't won shit, okay, since '86. So let's go back on bad baseball, right? I mean, when's the last time the Mets have won something? Okay, so as bad as the Phillies been through their franchise history, I mean, the Mets say, can I hold a couple of your beers, please? So let's not act like the Mets are the gold standard, like he's doing Yankees coverage. All right, that all the dryers on Facebook that will tell you how many rings they have every time you get in an argument with any Yankees fan. I mean, they can't even sniff the Yankees jock straps, right? And they can't sniff a lot of good baseball teams that have won a lot over the last 3 decades. Okay, so I mean, just miss me that you got the cleanest team in America. In terms of, we don't make errors. We do all the little things like that. That's not who the Mets are. That's not who the Mets are or who they have been. So, like, if you want to talk to me and you're a Braves announcer and you guys have won a lot per se, right, and won a lot of division titles, and you really have a great young core, and you want to put your balls on the table, be my guest and put your balls on the table, okay? But even you don't have a right there or a leg to stand on.
Yeah, and Keith, don't forget about '86. When you won in '86, it's Drew Buckner's legs. Doesn't get any less fundamental than that.
Yeah. Did you not pop the champagne? Did you say, what? That's not really a win.
Yeah, we're not going to take this win.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't know if I've seen a play like that happen since then. I mean, that's how egregious that play was. I don't know if I've seen an easier play get booted in a big spot than that one. And I've watched plenty of bad Phillies baseball the last decade, and I don't know if I've seen that play happen.
No, the only worse was a Weber timeout. Different. Got any more of those timeouts? I do not.
Good old C-Web.
Yeah, I don't give a crap about what these guys say half the time. Like, it doesn't faze me. Probably mostly doesn't faze most of the players. Some might get some bulletin board material from it, and if they did, I mean, hide the bulletin board material because it didn't work this weekend. So, and not defensively, just in general. Like, you didn't, if it was bulletin board material, you hope to go take 2 or 3. And listen, last night, I thought they were doing a good job the first 2 innings of really making DeGrom work. I was saying to my dad, I'm like, well, at least, I mean, I know a lot of guys are striking out, but at least they were running deep counts.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of 3-2 strikeouts and 6-pitch at bats and 7-pitch at bats where you're like, all right, this guy's at a 40 spot already, right? And then they stopped grinding, right?
It was like 5 pitches, 3 pitches.
Yeah. Then it became boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
So the grinding stopped. But early on, I'm like, dude, I think I said to them, the Mets aren't going to win one run ain't going to win the night. I said it to them because I felt that way watching early the first 2 innings. Like one run's not going to win this game tonight.
Yep.
They're going to get to somebody tonight, and they just didn't. Right? They just didn't.
Yeah, and you're right because it started off with Bryson, right? He had the 5-pitch, 6-pitch at bat, and that was a borderline strike or whatever. I think it did catch the corner, but hey, whatever, right? As you said, but they were grinding. You know what I mean? They were grinding, and then you're right. At some point, they were just like, all right, we're beat right now. We just got to get him out of the game. Where's his pitch count out? Right? When's his time up out of this game? Because that's the only chance we're going to have today.
Absolutely. And I think, 6 innings. So you still had 9 outs. I mean, that's, that it was the old school mentality that we used to, that's how things used to be done. Like you couldn't wait to get into the bullpen. That was your goal, whether you're at the high school level, collegiate level, and obviously the big league level, right? Your goal offensively was to get into the pen. Right, because those guys aren't starters, and I get it. I understand the game is involved. Now everybody throws 100, and all they want to do is get you to, they want to get you to, with 9 outs left and turn it over to somebody. You know what I mean? But last night, they went to Lugo. I mean, I'm not scared of Lugo. Seth, good for you. He's a big leaguer, man. But that's not a guy that should fear. You should fear. You know what I mean? Like you get DeGrom out of there, it should be a party. Should have been a party.
Yeah.
And he only went 1, Lugo. I'm sorry. Then it was May, and as we talked about, as Tommy alluded to in our little chat last night, like an old bugle boy, old trumpet boy. He won sharp. He won sharp. If you just take a slider, you're gooch. You know what I mean? Like he was not sharp last night. You know what I mean? And that's why. Hence, he was. They didn't need him today, but he was the only guy that was shut down today. You know what I mean? Because they ran him up last night.
Yeah, and he just kept, and I thought they did it. It's 2 good pitchers. I thought they did a good job of just working counts. But even in that 9th inning, they didn't. That's where we start seeing 2 strikes. Like this guy's slider happy, and he's not throwing them for strikes. I mean, somebody just feel it out early. I mean, it was sort of early, like because when he comes in and he doesn't take a while to establish the zone. He's just not a guy who nibbles. He's not a nibbler. When he struggled in Seattle, he nibbled. The slider had no slider
last year too. That was his point. Yeah, to your point.
That was his problem. He didn't have the slider commanded. Now I think the game has just changed where guys just swing out of their shoes all day, and it can lead to a guy like that having success. But I'm not going to take away how much he's been in the zone this year because I don't have the analytics in front of me. But I would assume his strike percentage is way up than it's been the last year. Now his last year in Seattle, he was money in Seattle. Yeah. But again, last year he had no slider control at all or command. Sorry, he had no slider command whatsoever. And the way you get away with it is the guys just swinging out of their shoes. Guys not reading it, and that was like the definition of last night. Like last night, that game should be tied. Like that game should be tied. Right? And I would hate to go back and rewatch it. Could probably get more annoyed. But I'm texting you guys, and I don't play in the big leagues. Sometimes we can sit on our couch and have a feel. Like, hey, anybody else has eyeballs tonight? Because I'm watching this thing freaking spin in the dirt every play. Somebody just take 2. You know what I mean? Take 2.
Yeah, and listen, Dan, we love having you, buddy. So listen, you're us 3, and usually us 4. We give it right back to each other and to others. You know what I mean? So as long as it doesn't turn personal to the families and stuff, and it stays in sports and all that good stuff. Yeah, we have a good time going at each other. So like I said, welcome, welcome, my friend.
Yeah, we welcome banner here. You know what I mean? So don't think my little rant was personal because it's just I didn't even know you guys won 2, so I'll see myself out. I was looking to count the other one. I don't even remember. It might be a little too much.
The Miracle Mets 69.
Yeah, I tell you, yeah, exactly. So it wasn't even
986.
that wasn't even a dad brain. That wasn't too much in the sun in the pool today. Like the chlorine's starting to get to me. Sorry, Dan. I mean, listen, I feel you. I feel your guys' pain. That's a long time, right? But ain't nobody catching you this year in this division. So enjoy.
No, and their turnaround. If you look back to just last year, I mean, we talked about Diaz, and then Sweeps brought him up earlier, Lindor, right? You talk about your two big acquisitions, free agent wise, 2 years ago. Just had a down year last year. Get adjusted to being in New York, probably adjusted to the media and the bright lights, and this year they're both having really good years, and that's the key to that turnaround for that team.
Yeah, it is, and
I mean, your job is your linchpin. You know what I mean? Like, that's the guy you brought in to be, to be your dude, to be your leader. You know what I mean? Be the guy that, it's, play Gold Glove, shortstop, and hit you 25 and close to 300 and all that good stuff. So they didn't get that last year. So for him to bounce back and that's. It's not it's why they're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, him and Edwin are obviously the reason that they're in first place, and tip of the cap to go making big moves like that and getting yourself air quote over the hump for right now. Don, we sort of answered this earlier, but he says 1 out of 10. How comfortable are your Phillies keeping the wild card spot?
Don, what up, buddy?
I would say like 8.5. Just because like anything can happen, but I didn't fear Milwaukee pre-dealing of Hader. I definitely don't fear them now. I mean that's just like hard for me to like. Not saying they don't have another guy back there. I don't watch enough Milwaukee games.
Yeah, it was really good, but I hear you.
Like I just don't have. I listen. They could. It's baseball. Baseball's weird. Sometimes addition by subtraction is a benefit for teams. Like it happens, right? So I don't want to say like, oh, well, that move changed it. I didn't fear Milwaukee coming into this year. Not like in terms of like.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm a Cardinals guy. Like, and I don't, and that's not even like being jelly pants or trying to shit in their stockings. You know what I mean? It's like they've never done it for me. They don't move the needle. It's just like, Burns. Okay, you have the Cy Young. Yelich, like, it was good 4 years ago. It was good 4 years ago.
Yeah, he never made that jump. It's really strange. He never really made that jump to superstardom like that you expected, right? You know what I mean?
He got hurt, and
he got hurt.
Yeah, figured it out.
I mean,
and Devin Williams wasn't happy with the Hader trade, so
the 2 years before,
I think there's more there.
Yeah. The 2 years before 2020, he was an absolute sick animal. I mean, I think he was like anywhere.
Well, sustained superstar, right? Yeah.
He was like 36 and won something, and he was.
Yeah, because I had him in fantasy, and now I'm just like, you're no longer a keeper.
Yeah.
You're just a draftable guy now.
Yeah, 2 monster years. That was crazy.
Yeah, they just don't have anything that really like I go into that series or I go head to head versus them, whatever the case may be, and I'm like, it's gonna be a tough one. Like, even when we played him earlier in the year and Burns was on the mound, I'm like, good pitcher. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it's not DeGrom, it's not Sandy. You know what I mean? Like, with all due respect to him, like I don't put him at that level, even though I think he's really good. But there's other guys that I think are money nightly, right? And I think he's a guy you can get to. Now, listen, I don't watch his every out. I got him in fantasy, and he's always racking me up big numbers. But I just feel like he's a guy that I can get to when I look around the league, and there's a lot of other guys I really feel like that. Like most of the time, I ain't gonna get to that guy, and I could be wrong because the time we see him, he was struggling at that point of the year.
Right. There's only like you can count them on your hand, like guys that are immortal. Right, that's the word I use. You know what I mean? Like other guys are tremendous pitchers. Right, they're big league pitchers. They're awesome. They can go day in and day out. They can go carve you up. You know what I mean? It's nothing disrespectful, but you only fear the guys that are immortal. You know what I mean? Like, and that's because those guys you never feel like you never get to those guys. You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, you can count those guys on your hand. You know what I mean? Like it's just. And whether they're at the back end or whether they're in the front, you know what I mean? Like all those years, Mariano Rivera, he's immortal. You know what I mean? That's why the Yankees had a lot of pieces, and there was a lot of reasons why the Yankees won, right? But at the top of the list was Sandman. Right? Sandman on the back end. You understand? Like John Wetland was good before Sandman took over. Sandman was immortal. That was it. You handed the ball to Sandman. Bye-bye. Game over. Come on, dude. All right, that's it. You can get them once. You can get them once every 10 years, like the Red Sox did, up 3-0. All right, and you fucking steal a base, because he's slow to the plate. Then you get a base hit, and all of a sudden, hey, we got him. And like I said, so it's like Haley's comment when you're trying to, every 4 years you might be able to get those guys that are really, really good. You know what I mean? But the other guys, like you said, you're not disrespecting anybody, and I couldn't agree with you more, Tom. Like you feel like guys that those guys put their pants on one leg at a time like the rest of us. So you're like, hey man, let's go challenge this guy. Let's go fight this guy tooth and nail and see if we can get him out of the game and see if we can put a little pressure on the defense. So it's whatever we can do. You know what I mean? Maybe secondary shit. Maybe it ain't working today. Maybe he's gonna leave a cement mixer up. All right. Maybe he's gonna leave a change up and we can get him right. The other guys, they don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, somebody puts their pants on for them. You know what I mean? Like somebody slids your pants on for you. You just don't do it the same way.
Yeah.
And even Sandy, I feel like has turned himself into that type of pitcher. When you look how we got him the other night, I mean, to dribble up to third base, you can just smell it. You smell it. Like we've all watched enough baseball. Look, watch a big inning here now, right? And then they're able to just make a guy uncomfortable for a minute, put a guy in the stretch for a half a second, right? Like the Dom's never in the stretch. So
you brought that up. Absolutely love that you brought that up because that's why, even though, like you said, he's been a dude all year, and I'm not even shitting on the dude. I'm not shitting on him. He just, when you're ready, and he's turned the corner, right? But when you're ready to continue to drive down fucking superstar alley, you don't let when you want to drive down superstar alley, that little dribbler is nothing. You just go, nice job. All right, you got it off the end. Nice job, idiot. I'm gonna get the next 3 guys out. Not continue, not miss the next 5-6 barrels. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't miss any barrels, you know what I mean? And give the Phillies credit. You know what I mean? That was, that's not that's you also tip your cap to those guys too. You know what I mean? The Phillies did a great job after that. You know what I mean? Especially like we talked about the baseball gods. You know what I mean? Marsh doesn't get a bunt down, right? But then he concentrates like a son of a bitch, 0-2, and he gets a knock up the middle, and it turns into a big inning. Where second and third, 1 out, and changes the inning. Even though we all love playing the game right, and that's the right move right there is to roll the ball against Sandy. It turned out great. You know what I mean? And Andy, when you're ready to take that next step, the next step, he's every time I watch him, a part of me dies, because he's, him and Gallen should be in the Cardinals rotation. You know what I mean? And it'd be pretty nice to have those two absolute pimps in the rotation. But talk about not having an absolute ace that's not 40 anymore. You know what I mean? Like, be really nice to have those two, monsters in your rotation. You know what I mean? But when Sandy's ready to, to continue, turning that corner and being an absolute, ace of aces, I like to call them ace. There's aces, and then there's aces of aces. All right, there's guys that they got them everywhere. You pat them down, and the guy's looking for pine tar, and it's like all the umpire finds is he's got aces all over him. There's no pine tar, and it's got every ace in the deck right here. That's me. All right, you can pat me down all you want. So when you're ready to be that guy, then then the other night doesn't happen if you're Alcantara. You know what I mean?
What do you guys say? You're comfortable? How comfortable are you if you got to go 1 out of 10? We already disagree with the polls, so
yeah, I'm at a 9 or 10. It would be, and to all the points we talked about earlier, Don. You know what I mean? Tommy and Greg alluded to. The competition. So it's not just what's in the Phillies clubhouse, which when you get back to reigning MVP. Unlike other people that don't know sports and think that's going to be a problem, I don't know how that would be a problem, and I'm not sure how that would be a problem. You know what I mean? That looks pretty good in the 3-hole or wherever Rob, can I call you Rob? Wherever Rob wants to hit him. Can I call you Rob? I mean, I love him. Wherever he wants to hit him, I think that's a good thing. I mean, last time, somebody punched me in the face, I'm like, I think that's okay to get that guy back. I mean,
hear this out. Nobody's been more critical.
He's not a winner. I don't know.
who's been more critical of Bryce Harper than me? Really, right? So I'll be the first to tell you, like, okay, but listen, everybody, if you just watch now, like, can miss me now, who said that, hey, is he a good teammate? Is he a great teammate? Is he not a good teammate? Right? Where does he stand on that level? I think we've learned as the guy's gotten older in his career now what kind of teammate he is. And what kind of teammate he is he's a guy who goes about his business, how he feels the right way. Isn't a rah-rah clubhouse, yell at you type of teammate, right? But he goes about his business. He does everything hard. He does everything 100 miles an hour, right? Does he make some boneheaded base running decisions, trying to go too hard sometimes? Sure. But that's not going to rub guys the wrong way in the locker room. Has he been known at his younger ages to just fly through a cutoff man and just fire something, right? An airmail? Sure. But name a player that doesn't trust their arm and let it fly, right? So it also doesn't rub guys wrong in the clubhouse. So I think that whole narrative showed to be really false, not as much last year, but the way this year's panned out, right? And the way you see the way he is with his teammates, and you see a guy that, could have elected just to get surgery and called it quits and not DH'd, right? Like didn't have to, and I think that kind of stuff fits well in clubhouses too, because it's easy to breed a prima donna. It's easy to say, you know what, I got to worry about being able to play the field next year, so let me go get this scope now, or let me get this handled now because it's about me. Because I'm selfish. It's not about the guy next to me. It's not about the fans. It's about me. Now you say, well, Tom, that's an easy decision. Is it though? Because there would be some players out there that would elect to say, well, I got to get surgery on this. I don't want it to get worse, right? Or I got to get scoped. I don't know the whole deal that's going on in there, right? But you guys understand my point.
Especially when you have the other injury to go with it, right?
Yeah, the other one. And you could have called it quits now,
yep.
Right? But even more so, there's two different times where he could have said, you know what, get me scoped right now so maybe I can come back and throw, or let me do this so I can come back, whatever. I don't know the whole details of that injury because it's almost been like injury gate. Right? It's been like the grassy knoll of injuries. Like I don't know what's going on in there. Like I don't think anybody does. Now he's committed to playing the World Baseball Classic in 2023. I got to assume as a right fielder. So maybe it's not as bad as we think it is. But whatever. Long story short, I think to what Sweet's saying, like there's a guy out there that says, oh, getting it back hurts you. No, you losing a guy like that can help you for a minute because it can make guys focus. Getting him back's never an issue if guys are focused. Right? If he comes back and it becomes, well, Bryce Harper has to carry me every night show, well, then guess what? We're not going to be as good of a baseball team. But if he comes back and guys continue to have good at-bats like they've had through the time of him being gone, getting timely hits like they have with him being gone, then it's going to look like, okay, we're going to play good baseball. But if it goes back to like guys struggling throughout this entire lineup besides him, then guess what? We're not going to be a good baseball team. We're going to be the team we were at the beginning of the year. So that has nothing to do with what kind of leader he is or getting him back hurts you. Like, shut the fuck up. Getting back Segura, Harper, and now Schwarber, right? When he swings back, that's a win, guys. That's a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that early stuff I know what you're talking about, and until you get to see him play, every day, like Philly fans do now, and like we do. You just, like it was probably, from a distance, and I was, one of the biggest ones. It would say a lot of that stuff, especially, and it has to do with maturity. What it was, that he was doing was eyewash stuff. That's eyewash stuff. You know what I mean? I call it fake hustle. You know what I mean? A lot of that stuff in Washington, that's what that was. You know what I mean? If you ask me, you know what I mean? Like, either, whether it was trying too hard or just being, a fake go-getter, whatever it was. You know what I mean? I think it was like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do. That was, to me, that's eyewash stuff. You know what I mean? So now it was like, hey, you get a little bit older. I know it didn't look good. He left, and then they won, but that team was pretty good. It wasn't just because, hey, Harper left, and now the Nats are really gonna take off. Right? They had a 1 year window. You know what I mean? Where it was a perfect storm. You know what I mean? Where Strasburg was healthy. Mad Max pretty good. You know what I mean? Soda was taking off.
I think he's gonna make it.
Last time Rondon was relevant. You know what I mean? Yeah. Howie Kendrick, Howie the Duck. You know what I mean? Like, you could just list the name of guys that stepped up and were heroes for that team. You know what I mean? And that, so that was,
Well, let's not forget on the mound too. Let's not forget what they had on the mound that year too. So Strasburg was dealing, right? I mean, he was a Strasburg they were supposed to get for years, right? So they had a lot of things obviously go their way. But no, listen, this team's fine. Anybody out there? One guy commented a 1, his confidence level. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, turn it off.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Just this alone, right? So yeah, I mean, my confidence is 9, right? It would be 10. Why not? I'll just go make it 10.
Wow, I'm the lowest in the room, Greg. Sorry, I'm the lowest in the room.
You have 13 remaining games against teams over 500 or current playoff teams.
No, we're doing
right?
That
You got. Well, I'm just going to break.
I'm just joking.
I'm not going through the whole thing, but like
no. I meant like now we're doing this. We've done this before.
Yeah.
Here we go.
No, but like when less than half your games are against good teams, your confidence should be really high, right? So you got 13 left: 4 Braves, 4 Mets, 3 Astros, and 2 Blue Jays. Okay, so those are your last good teams left.
Not a killer stretch of those teams either.
No, and like the Mets are home. I'm sorry. There's 3 more. So you have Atlanta once on the road and once back at home too. But so that's 16 games, and then 32 of your games left are of teams that are below 500 or at 500 now that the Giants are there, right? Giants just got the 500 today. So that alone should make your confidence level very, very high.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and listen, you don't even got to tell me those numbers, and just because of where we sit with everything, my confidence level and what we could be getting back would be high. Now, I would like to hear more about what's up with Corey Knebel because I'm not in a position to losing guys.
Yeah, okay? That's a tough one.
And I'm not saying we don't have
latch strain. They said latch strain.
He's been throwing good too. That's shape.
And I'm glad they realized it, right? Because to both your points, he was throwing so good that when he starts throwing 9 out of 14 balls, you're like, "Hey, something's wrong here. Something's up with Corey."
The lat's back here, correct?
Yeah, it's on the side.
The lat's on the side
under here. Sorry, bear with me. I'm not a doctor.
Sure, yeah, I don't know. I answered that quick. Like,
you didn't say the Holiday Inn Express last night.
Like you were some kind of jackass, but yeah.
Fucking WebMD over here. I mean, unbelievable.
I only know that because that's just a common baseball, problem for all these guys that are muscle mass and just eating creatine for breakfast. You know what I mean? Like if you don't stretch out, that core goes.
Yeah, I can't see that being a long period of time, right? Unless it's a tear.
Corey Knebel has a latch strain. He's going back to Philly for an MRI, probably looking at an absence.
An absence, but like I'm saying, if there's no tear and it's just a pull, I can't see that being more than like 2 weeks.
Yeah, potentially. It's probably about without a tear. It's probably about what it is, right? Because of the way he pitches too, right? It's just there's a lot of pull in his motion, right? So you're going to want to make sure that thing is good before you know what I mean. You bring him back.
Sure.
No, as long as it's not a tear, he's not done. So I mean, that's not too concerning. But it's still concerning because, I mean, again, we went out and got David Robertson to give us that length, and I think he really does. We talked about that the trade during the deadline. I know we sat here and talked about that. Like, don't look at the guy who picked you for a hot second, half a minute. Look at the guy's body of work, and he's going to make you deeper, right?
Oh, absolutely. But all the reason, like
the veteran
showed it Friday night, right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Showed it Friday night that you were able to go Sir Anthony in the 9th. In that high leverage position, and then still have D-Rob to go in the 10th.
Well, and listen, and all the more reason that to your text today that the young bucks are climbing. They're climbing the ladder, right? All the more reason to get these young Thundercats up here in September, right? You get some, make sure they're eligible, because you never know when you need it to. All right, nobody's saying you got to give the ball to Painter or Abel. In a must-win game too in the playoffs. I'm not saying that. I'm saying not a bad problem to have an absolute young pimp in the pen. Right, and you're not asking him to get 9 outs. You're just saying, hey, listen, in a pickle, all right. If Corey's not able to come back or he's not him, he's whatever. You're not. I'm hoping for the best. I'm just saying, like, have those whippersnappers, eligible.
Yeah, so let's give them a double-A now so we can see what they have.
Have those whippersnappers, eligible for, come postseason time if need be,
That'd be sick. I ain't gonna lie, that'd be sick. Just having one of them there, you know what I mean? Because it just goes to show, like, that obviously Dombrowski, we know Dombrowski is one of this guy, but it just goes to show that he wasn't blowing smoke up our asses when he talks about how if guys are ready, they're going to be up. You know what I mean? That if guys are ready, you look at what, Stott this year, even Verling, right? You know what I mean? You could make arguments early in the year that Verling wasn't necessarily ready, right? But they're here. They're going through it this year. So that way they're better versions of themselves next year. And I think that's what you're seeing with moving these kids up, at a rapid pace. I mean, Painter's still 18. He's going to be like 19 next week or in a couple of weeks. So it's crazy to see that these guys are moving up as quickly as they are. And
that one's insane, Greg. Like,
yeah.
that's the opposite of what the Phillies have been known to do.
And
not even the Phillies. A lot of organizations that just draft a kid. He ain't up in Double A by 19 or 18 or wherever he's sitting at right now. Is he 19 right now?
There is absolutely no substitution for experience. You know what I mean? I understand talent, and talent will win out. Most likely at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But at the big league level, everybody's talented. You know what I mean? So, what you need is, experience. And the only way to get that is to get battle tested. And like I said, I'm not saying you want these two, you want young bucks, throwing like, 20 innings in the playoffs. I'm not saying that. But once you get a little tasty poo of it, you know what I mean? Like, listen, then you got a little bit of, it sets you up for the future. You know what I mean? Especially if, once the Dodgers can't pay everybody. So once everybody, starts leaving town, then maybe the playing field gets even again.
Did you say Trey Turner?
Oh.
Did you say Trey? I just asking. I know. The name comes up, but no, Greg, we talked about that for years. Me and you just talking, about guys that like J.P. Crawford in the day and other young guys. Like, just let me find out if he can play or not. Because if you yo-yo, I'm never going to know. And listen, Mickey, I'm not agreeing with what Mickey said completely on his way out of here, but we gave him chances to play in the minors, obviously, and we were going to give him that opportunity this year, but there's truth to that. I mean, he never saw 300 plus at bats in the big leagues, right? In 1 year to say, hey, I'm the guy or I'm not the guy, or I can come back and I can make adjustments now, have a good offseason, figure some things out about myself, and come out and have a great sophomore year per se. We never gave him that opportunity. All right, and maybe because
he also never earned it. Let's be real though.
No, very true.
Because you're 100% correct.
But he never got a chance. Listen, he started putting the bat together a little bit in the minors. Started to come together enough to say, hey, now give me a chance. But to your point, when he was given chances, it was bleak, right? But we never let the bleak change. We never gave enough run to say, hey,
fair, yeah.
And it changed.
Especially when nobody was knocking on the door. You know what I mean? Like you brought a Jubal back for no absolute no reason. You know what I mean? So that was their opportunity. That's where they dropped the ball. Given like I said, I know it looked like he was set to get an opportunity, especially how spring training was playing out. You know what I mean? So the injury was catastrophic for him, and it seems like the dude's he's going to have some injury issues. You know what I mean? He's young, so you don't want to label a guy injury prone, but he's not good. It's not good. It's not good. You know what I mean? Had that not happened, he probably gets, he obviously breaks camp and he gets a chance to play every day in center field starting this year. And it just didn't happen. You know what I mean? But where I do think the Phillies dropped the ball was, bringing back a Double. So say whatever you want about him. I don't care about the fundamentals and all that stuff. You already played that record, right? Everybody knew that song. We already played that record, so there was no reason to scratch it and bring it back. You know what I mean? Just that was an opportunity. That he stayed healthy and just let the kid play. You know what I mean?
And especially it being one of your first signings, it wasn't like you brought him back after Mickey got hurt right before the major or right before the season.
Yeah.
Well,
right. He was one of your first signings with Familia.
No, it gets even deeper than this, right? We know guys who draft guys, they become their guys, and they're willing to give those guys more of an opportunity, right? Well, Dombrowski didn't draft Mickey Moniak, right? That's not a Dombrowski, group pick there. When you talk about Stott, it is, right? When you talk about Painter, it is. So when you talk about some of the guys that I believe he's been around and I could be wrong. Maybe not Stott, but
Not
definitely
Stott.
Painter.
Not Stott.
Okay, not Stott. Right, but
Dombrowski's been here, what, 2 years?
But I got to give Dombrowski credit, though, because I think Sweeps is right. I think we are right. I mean, he was going to be given that opportunity this year. It just so happened he got hurt, and history is what it is now. But we even talked about it in spring training. He looked bigger. He looked stronger. I mean, I don't care where you hit home runs at when you're a young player, right? Like when you're a vet, miss me if you have like 15 home runs in spring training. People think, oh, this guy's going to have MVP candidate, right? And he's never been in that conversation types, right? But I know it's in another glorified practice, and you're seeing a lot more fastballs per se. But he was hot, as the big fella like say. He was hot as a pistol coming out of camp, and who knows how that translates? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe he is a confident guy coming out of camp, and that translates in the right direction. But boom, before you can even come out of camp, you got a broken hand, and your timing shot, everything's shot. I now need 80. I almost need 80 at bats that really see if I can figure it out again, right? He wasn't even given that coming back. He wasn't even given 80 at bats at the big league level. He just wasn't.
Joe was like, yeah, I'm good with this guy.
Yeah, and Ryan, no, I think
Joe's not great with young players. You know what I mean? And that was the reason why he's he was on his way out. You know what I mean? It was like it's the shit wasn't working anymore.
Robert, I'll say right now, if Painter has a good month left here in Double-A and comes into camp next year and looks great, I mean, there's always a chance. That's probably. I mean, they traded for Syndergaard this year, and I don't know what Gibson's contract is. I don't know what some of the other guys' contracts look like. I'd have to see that, right? But I know Syndergaard's got I think he's got another year left at least. So I believe he's back. I don't believe that was a rental. I could be wrong. And I'm interested to see what Noah Syndergaard is next year. I'm interested to see velocity in camp, right? Some of those things when you're really removed from Tommy John now. Make sense? I'm interested to see because that move could be gigantic next year. And I'm not a big Thor guy, but if the guy can get up to 97, 98 again, right? I think I become a Thor guy. Like, hey, that guy's my fourth. Hey,
they're both free agents after this year.
So Syndergaard is and Gibson.
Syndergaard was a rental. Gibson wasn't a rental last year.
I don't like that move one bit. Now you told me he's a rental. I don't like it one bit. I don't trade the guy. I just don't. I'm not trading for a rental. If and I'm not saying Mickey Moniak's going to be a good player. I know I needed it because I had Falter, right? And I guess you're forced to, but I should have been able to give up. And I'm not saying Mickey's a lot. I'm saying I should have been able to give up less.
Well, I mean, essentially you did. Because the other guy you gave up wasn't even in our top 30. And if you're not in our top 30...
What, the guy gave up for Marsh, you're saying?
No. Hoppy was probably a lot for Marsh. But, you made it because Hoppy's not playing for you for 5 years.
Yeah. But I'm saying you gave up on
Yadiel Sanchez, the other kid they gave up with Moniak.
I don't know who that guy is, but it doesn't matter. My point is that you give up Moniak and O'Hop.
Yeah, if you combine them into one deal. I got you.
For Marsh. I mean, it's the same team. So I'm just going to talk to you like it's the same team. So in reality, they sort of, just from the outskirts looking in, right? They sort of bent you over right now a little bit. They didn't put it in yet. They're just saying, hey, there's a chance I might squeeze it in here.
Well, here's how bad the Angels farm system is Yadiel Sanchez is now like in their mid-20s, and O'Hoppy jumps up to their number one prospect right now.
Yeah, and he was what, fourth for
us?
He
was our third.
Third, yeah. So,
but he was blocked, right? You know what I mean? The catcher being
I got
third.
no problem with that move, but I should be able to get rid of the O'Hop, a top 10 guy, and the guy you named for those two names. I didn't trade for anything. I didn't trade for anything that like Noah Syndergaard this year didn't show me that he's fully back. He showed me, hey, like he showed me like, okay, you're serviceable 4 or 5 right now, but he didn't show me the Syndergaard old. And Brandon Marsh, like good player. Guy's a good player. I'm not taking shots, but like we didn't get a proven like all-star player here. We got a young guy who's under team control still, sure, but I'm saying I'll make these moves all day. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with trading prospect. I'm trying with trading Moniak. It just would have felt a little better if I had a control over next year.
Well, that's what I think they wanted to, right? They were really hot on. They had Ohapi and Moniak in a deal for Rodon from San Fran, like as a package, right? You're going to go all in, but Rodon wasn't going to opt in to that second year. So obviously they're like, I'm not going to give it up if you're not going to be under control for at least 2 years.
But you just did it. But you just.
But then at the 10th hour, you're right. Or at the 11th, 12th hour,
I would rather have Rondon than those two, right? I mean, I think we all agree there. I'd rather have Rondon than those two. So I mean,
there's no question. But I don't know about. Well, yes, I mean, regardless, yes, for 1 year. But I like the control of Marsh. I think Kevin Long, obviously, you make that move when if you have a heading guy that you think can fix him, right? You know what I mean? And we talk about it all the time, right? There's always some guy that's going to think that they can fix somebody.
Yeah, it just doesn't do the needle. It's not a needle mover for me. Rondon feels like I can compete. I can come out of the NL. Like that. That's what that move tells me. This move's a gut. We're talking again Band-Aids, Greg. We're back to Band-Aids. They're not. Now listen. The Band-Aid moves sometimes can be the big move. We've had this conversation in years past too.
I mean, the Braves did it last year.
Yeah, it's not always the splash. And listen, time will tell if we made the right move. And time's going to tell this year. Time's not going to tell me next year. Time's going to tell me if I made the right move this year. Now, do they bring Syndergaard back? There are conversations down the road. But how these guys play down the stretch, and once we hit postseason baseball, fingers crossed, that's going to tell us if we made the right move.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Robert's question, I think this move to them going to Double-A, even if it's for 5-6 starts each, right? It sets up at minimum one of those three to be potentially ready and looked at next year for a rotation spot. When you look at Painter, Abel, or Griff McGarry, those are your top three pitching prospects left. Those are all right there at Double-A now, and I think this move is seeing what they're going to do here as they approach the most workload, most innings that all of them have probably ever thrown in their lives, right? So you're talking about, getting at the end of the season. What is your body? How's your body react? How's your arm react to these young kids to throwing a lot of these innings? Because I think there's a possibility maybe one of them is in the rotation next year.
And better baseball, right? I mean,
yes.
We talk about the minors, the Double-A is where it's at. Roberts has a lot of money coming off the books next year. Need Trey Turner, Xander, and some better pitchers if Painter is available. Well, we'll see. We'll get to next year. We'll keep our feet where our feet are. Let's hope to be a postseason team. And let's shift over a little bit. We'll talk.
Like I said, the last thing is this: at some point, you just got to see what you got. We say it all the time, and we don't want to keep harping on it. Obviously we can move on. You know what I mean? But it's like, we look around the league, and that's the reason why, if you get pissed, if you're a Phillies fan, you look around the league, and another guy for the Braves threw again today, Elder. You know what I mean? It's just, I understand. They got their grapevine is delicious. I understand. You just keep eating grapes. You're like, hey, when are you guys gonna shit your pants? You just keep eating all these grapes off the grapevine. You know what I mean? But they got the fucking nutsack to pull the trigger. You know what I mean? Like, what's to say? I understand the age, but what's to say that Abel or Painter aren't Spencer Strider or this guy Elder? Who the fuck knows? Nobody knows.
Well, it was crazy. I think they swept the Marlins without throwing any of their top four pitchers. You didn't throw Fried, you didn't throw Anderson, you didn't throw Strider, and they swept the Marlins. Like, that's pretty impressive. And not only with the pitching sweeps, they bring up another kid who just absolutely rakes.
Michael Harris is. Once again.
Michael Harris is there. Then Grissom just comes up and first game. Let's leave Fenway.
Yeah, right. It's unbelievable what they do. All right, boys. So Eagles. Well, the NFL preseason is underway all around football, and that is brought to you by FanUp. And FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NFL contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use our promo code A2D for a $50 value. FanUp.app. You can find them right on the Apple Store. They're the best. So interactive. You can challenge anybody to anything. Like, I'm on FanUp. Sorry, come challenge me. 50-50 chance of me winning, so I'll dabble. So the Eagles starters per se played the first series against the Jets. Wasn't able to watch it live. obviously I was just more locked into the Phillies game, but went back and just took a peekaboo at Jalen's throws and good stuff. Cool. I think there's 2 checkdowns mixed in. A ball over the middle of the Goddard. There was another completion in there, and then there was the big TD pass to Goddard. I know Devontae Smith has been talking a little bit in camp that his timing's better that he sees from Jalen Hurts. Devontae's been a pretty honest and open guy about Jalen Hurts. Obviously, being teammates, I think they got that kind of relationship from what it looks like and sounds like. But been a pretty honest guy. Do I expect him to say his timing's off? No. Do I expect him to say he hasn't gotten better? No. But from what I watched in preseason, which means absolutely nothing, in Vanilla Defense City. Okay, I love Vanilla, but it's Vanilla Defense City. There's no way of knowing until we strap up week 1. But good news, it's better than you being 0 for 6 throwing the football. Right? Then we're like, oh my God. So I try to stay in the middle through preseason. I don't get too high, too low. I've dealt with that throughout my sports watching career. I'm not going to change it now. I don't really care what guys say in camp, but that one stuck with me a little bit to Devontae because he's had no problems. I don't want to say hammering Jalen Hurts, but he's had really no problems last year speaking the truth. So I do like that he sees something different. Will it translate? I don't know. Will this guy turn into a guy who can throw guys open? I don't know. We're going to find out this year, boys. But it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, listen, that's what we say. We're always just trying to we try to be honest. I mean, people, if you're not, and that's a problem with the city. You know what I mean? Like if you're not in somebody's camp 100%, like you gotta either you gotta slurp these guys or you just or everybody or people hate you. You know what I mean? And you can't be honest. And I don't understand why you can't be in the middle and be honest. Right? No. Listen, you root for the guy. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anybody. You 2 guys are Eagle fans. I think you guys would be okay with Jalen Hurts being a superstar and leading this team to playoff wins and being here 10 years or whatever, 10 plus years and getting that productivity out of the quarterback position. I think you guys would sign up for that. So, you guys aren't haters, you know what I mean? But when you're honest and your eyeballs tell you something, then that's the way we do things here. Some of us anyway, and nobody was taking anything away from the other night, whether it's preseason or not. Right. But nothing happens without, and this isn't coulda, woulda, shoulda, but we're talking about when you're evaluating the guy, he has to learn, and we've said it, how to throw from the pocket right away. He doesn't give it any chance. You don't give it any time. He's out the back door. And then luckily they get a late hit that extends the drive. If not, that's punt city. And your 1 series is done, pal. And it is 0 for 2, whatever it is. And I'm not saying woulda, coulda, shoulda, because I know I'm not playing that. I'm just saying, like, you're in the pocket. There was no reason to escape right away. You know what I mean? Like, you could have – that's when you were saying in the preseason, it's time to work on things, right? That's the time where, hey, you step up, right? Step up, right? If nobody's open, then take off. He right away, a little bit of a pressure, he's out the back door, all right? And he got out, he got a 5-yard run, and had that guy not done his thing, you know what I mean? Like, you're punting there.
All right, see, guess what? See, I didn't even know that extended. I had no idea. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, that's third.
Watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that's third.
Yeah, no, that's great information because I didn't watch it. Right, I asked around a little bit, like, how did he throw it? And I got some responses back of probably a little bit too much excitement for preseason. But I get it because we're excited the Eagles are back. But he needs to listen. I've said it a million times and got criticized for some reason that I don't know if that guy's ever going to be that guy, but that this is his junior year. And when I talk about junior years in the pro sports world, that's make it or break it time. That's, hey, you're a dude or you're not a dude. There's no in between here, right? There isn't in between. You're just a guy. But this is where we find out, especially the quarterback position. I mean, your junior year at the quarterback position is a big year. I mean, you're not going to figure it out the next year. It's do or die time. You're either going to be a backup and a guy who makes a lot of money just holding a clipboard, or you're going to be a guy. Because when we talked about it on Wednesday's show, when you talk about having the back brink trucks up for this guy, real soon, you're going to be a guy. Because when we talked about it on Wednesday's show, when you talk about having the back brink trucks up for this guy, real soon, you're going to be a guy. Because when we talked about having the back brink trucks up for this guy, real soon, you're going to be a guy. listen, man, I'm not born a brink truck because of analytical nerds.
Well,
because the guy's stats look good.
No, absolutely. To your point. And also, this isn't fantasy football, so that stuff's cute. And like I said, a lot of that stuff is hollow, and it maybe came, maybe it came in slop time and mop up time. You know what I mean? So that's where, like I said, this is where it's time to step up, and we you're smart enough to give them this year and say, hey, listen, go ahead, kid, man. Like, guys, a high character guy, great, great teammate. People love him. All right, now it's time to. Can you lead? Can you lead an NFL football team and to be great? Not just can you be under center and can you be a fantasy guy? Can you find a way to win? Tough games. Can you go on the road and win? A tough game on the road. Can you win a playoff game on the road? I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
can you win a playoff game? Period.
Yeah, no.
Right. I mean. Listen, this is the year for him because a lot's riding on it, and we've talked about this for a year now. We know what's on the back burner here is Stowe, and what's on the back burner is 2 first-round draft picks, which can land you a top 5 pick if that's what you want to do.
And one might be a top 5, 10 pick itself.
Absolutely, Greg. But this is the even bigger thing.
Well, you're right. Yes.
The whole thing is, as Eagles fans, people can call me a hater all they want. I want this guy to be that guy because if he's that guy, those 2 first-round picks can be used to make my team my team get better year in, year out. That really continues. Now you talk about Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, right? And I get next year's draft. And I have 2 first-round picks too, and I can go continue to replenish this well. When you talk about now Devontae Smith, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean. Hey, guess where I'm at now? I'm at guys who won shit at the college level. I'm in the big boy, and I'm not saying the SEC controls everything. I'm not saying that. But those are the 2 big boys. When you talk about that Georgia defense is one of the best of all time. I mean, honestly, that's what the numbers said. That's what your eyes said. And you know why they were? First, our front was ridiculous, okay? So I'm not taking anything away from the other guys drafted, right? But the big part of that was Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. Because they – and even more so is Jordan Davis takes up so many guys. I mean, you saw in a preseason game. They triple teamed guys. They triple teamed in a preseason game. Right? The game don't even matter in your triple team. And one of those plays is where Nakobe Dean comes through, makes a tackle for the 1-yard gain, and you can see what this guy does. Because Jordan Davis, this news flash for the world out there, he's not going to flash on a stat sheet. Okay, right. What's going to happen is other guys are going to flash on a stat sheet because of that guy, and especially your linebackers. And the Nakobe Dean, a big part of the reason why I think he dropped wasn't as much because of the air quote injury, is because teams aren't stupid. Look who's in front of him there. So now you want
the number 1 overall pick, the number 15 or whatever we got. Jordan Davis, 12, 13, right? I mean, no, you're absolutely right, Tommy.
So teams start to wonder, like, is that guy a dude or is that guy because of what's in front of him, right? And to me, and the injury drops him a little bit. And listen, our win there. But listen, I think these guys are a presence right away. I know Don said I'm excited about this defense. I'm really excited about this defense. I haven't been this excited about an Eagles defense going back a little bit now because I think they got the makings of having the ability to be a top 10er, right? Now, listen, you got to play it. But up front, they got a lot of rotational pieces. We did a whole show and forgot about Milton Williams, who had a really good rookie year last year. Really good rookie year. So, we did a whole show there. Our linebacker core, just because you're a white man, is better. Then we go get Nakobe Dean, right? All right, so that's 2 guys that are air quote playmakers at the linebacker position. Corner's better. You get Bradbury's better than Steven Nelson, right? And we'll see what the other safety position turns into. But listen, right away, it's a way better football team. Jalen Hurts has been surrounded with more here than a lot of guys have ever been surrounded by offensively. All right, and keys are yours, buddy. Can you start the car or not? Right?
Yeah.
And we're going to find out if he can.
No, Tommy, you're absolutely right. We would much rather, and Sweeps, you're completely right as well. We would much rather have Jalen be the guy because if you look at our roster, especially on the defensive side, we got a lot of guys on 1-year deals or older guys, right? Brandon Graham's older, plus coming off of an injury. Fletcher Cox 1-year deal, Derek Barnett 1-year deal, Bradbury 1-year deal, right? All these guys. So it would be so much easier and better for us as a team to use those first round picks on other areas to help improve, as opposed to trying to go get a quarterback and go through that again, right? And then sit there and live by the 1-year deals, because sooner or later the 1-year deals are going to end, right? Or you're going to get beat by a 1-year deal. It's so much easier than to use those on the top cornerback or the top D end, right? You know what I mean? Or Lane Johnson's getting up there in age. I love Lane, but how much more does he have at an all-pro, at a top-tier level, right? I mean, Jason Kelce, it looks like we do have his replacement, and we got Mailata, so we're good there, right? But it benefits us so much more if Jalen is the guy, because then we can use those picks to cherry pick other areas where we know we're going to need either next year itself or just down the road. I mean, we're still talking safety. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we were still trying to figure out how to get Jason Bates from Cincinnati, right? And I thought we were okay at safety. Who knows how that truly plays out? But to be able to use these picks and have maneuverability around what we can do with them next year, as opposed to knowing, hey, we need a quarterback, or hey, we need to use both of them to get a quarterback, whether it's in the draft or whether it's a proven guy from, who's already here. It benefits us so much more if he can be that guy this year or going forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So-called the scouts that he was undersized. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that goes more or less back to the 3 first-rounders, that were drafted in front of him. I mean, the number 1 overall pick was the D end. Then you got Jordan Davis. But, yeah, no, absolutely. He definitely isn't prototypical, but we'll take it because I think we got a steal there.
Yeah, exactly. You could play, Sam Mills played middle linebacker in the NFL for a long time. You know what I mean? I'm not, comparing the two or even saying that he's, that small. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's been plenty of guys. Drew Brees played the quarterback position, air quote, undersized. You know what I mean? So it's about what's inside of you, what's inside, and what's your drive, what's your 1-2, and how tough are you, and are you coachable, and and how hard are you willing to work? You know what I mean? So yeah. And I think the Kobe is definitely got a chip on his shoulder. So that's always a good thing to have at any level.
I'm just pumped just at the linebacking core. I mean, you went out and you made a conscious effort to improve that spot, right? You know what I mean? Kazir White, I think, is going to have a really good year. Then you go draft Dean, and you're adding that to a guy who, even if he plays limited stats, played really well for you the last 2 years at TJ Edwards. And then you have an unproven guy you don't know, in Davion Taylor, and who knows if he's ever going to be an NFL player. Well, you might as well join a good room of linebackers, which you might not have really ever had in your career either. I just know that the last time we had a good linebacking room and a good linebacking core, we did some pretty good things that year.
Yeah, I don't know why it was. We always say over the years, I don't know why they lost. I don't know why it lost value to the Phillies brass. You know what I mean? It's your linchpin to your defense. I know, guys want to win up front in the trenches, and we don't debate that. I won't get an argument from me. But it's almost an oxymoron to me if you have a good front and you don't have a good linebacking core. It's an oxymoron, right? Because those guys are keeping their linemen off us, right? Yeah. So you got guys that can run free and they're athletic and make plays, you're going to create so much havoc on defense. You know what I mean? So it never made sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to build up front, hey, giddy up. You know what I mean? I love the fact, I want an absolute monster front four. Don't get me wrong. All right. But then that clears up. Then I need some athletic linebackers that can run in space and make plays in space. You know what I mean? Excuse me. They can run free and make plays in space. You know what I mean? It was always a curious thing to us, why, the Eagles as an organization didn't value the linebacking position as much as they should.
Yeah.
I'll give real quick. I'll give Howie a ton of credit for something, and I don't. Right? I think we're pretty fair with Howie Roseman critiques throughout his tenure here, right, guys? I mean, I think we have been. We'll credit him when we think he addresses something, and we'll smoke him when he think he just turns his back to it. And I got to give him credit this all season because it's been something we've talked about. And the sweeps his point, I think, he saw it. Like, hey, I can have this front four that creates havoc. That's great. Right, but if I don't have the linebackers to play behind them, what am I? Right, I just got guys behind them. Well, now I have some playmakers. I'm not calling Kaiser White like LT. I'm just telling you that the guy's a good football player. He's better than what we had. Nakobe Dean, I mean, he's a rookie. We don't know, but he's smart. He's instinctive. Right, he was part of a freaking juggernaut defense. Right, I mean, he was the middle of that. Right, when we talk about the middle of defenses, that's where you win at. So him and Jordan are in the middle of that. So to not only go get the one guy, you go get the guy that's behind him. I mean, how does that not a home run? I don't know. I mean, riddle me how it's not, and guess what? It might turn in not to be. I don't know. You got to see how these guys play at the next level. But listen, if you're not excited going into this year, I'll tell you to check your pulse. Let me know if that shit's beaten, because I would assume it's not, right? Because I'm excited, and that's with a quarterback that I don't know what he is yet.
Sure.
But I do know one thing: that guy's going to win you 10, 11 games probably. You know what I mean? Like with the roster that's around him. Now, does that win you a playoff game? I don't got that crystal ball, baby. Can he throw enough in the pocket? It's going to determine that. Yeah. But can he get you to the playoffs? I have no question that Jalen Hurts can't be a regular season winner per se, right? I won't question that when you talk about guys who can run around and make plays. If you have a team around you, and he really does have a good football team around him. Now, I know Nate's poll question this morning, and I'll hit you guys with it. It was like the over-under 9.5. I assume you guys are both going over there. That's what worries me. I think it's almost a clean sweep all around.
I already have the ticket.
That's right.
Here we go.
But I think it's like the easiest one ever. And I thought, what was funny? In 2017, before that year, I was in Vegas that August, right? And I remember it was like 8 or something. And I said to my dad, I'm like, dude, that just smells easy. Like, I think we're going to be good. And he's like, you think so? Let's put it in. And I was like, well, I didn't even want to go a step further. Like, let's just put it in for an NFC title.
You didn't.
An NFC title. Like, I didn't say anything about Super Bowl. I just was like, hey, I think they go to an NFC title game. And he's like, oh, you're just being a homer. And I said, absolutely, I'm being a homer. But I think playing the rookie quarterback year one is going to help them.
Yeah.
Right? I just did. And I said, I never forget the kill. Right? Yeah. Early on, I'm like, this guy's a future, right? and credit to him for half a year he was, so for a majority of the year. But long story short, we didn't put either in. So that's why we won.
Yeah, pretty much. No, and you know what's funny? You went back to remaking the linebacking core.
Greg, imagine putting that in. Not the 8.5 hits, right? And then he goes down. And you got to go in an NFC title game for like big money.
And now you're sweating it.
Like this is done.
But every level, and again, we saw in 2017, every level makes the other level behind them better, right? Our front four made our linebacking core that much better in that year.
Nigel was awesome. I mean,
Nigel and Michael Kendricks, these guys were awesome. And then, which made then our secondary better, right? So look at
which
this
was
year,
average, which was
very average.
Very average.
So last year we had a good secondary, blah, average middle, and a good front. And it doesn't work that way. You gotta start from the front and work your way back because it makes everything else better.
If I'm gonna leave a hole out, like if I gotta go through a roster and say, well, listen, this is gonna be my weakest part, people will probably laugh at me. but I would say my safeties,
Yes.
right? Like my weakest. I'm not looking to have a weak part, but if I had to go do I'll put a roster together and said I had to focus on these things, man, I'm gonna look for 2 good corners over 2 good safeties, and have 2 bad corners and 2 good safeties.
Yep.
And you're gonna say, well, Tom, they're the over top guys. I get it, but if I get pressure from my front four, like I expect to get this year, right? If I get pressure and I got guys that both Bradbury and Slade can get physical at the line of scrimmage, and I can knock guys off routes for a half a second, right? Guess what? I got a chance for my guys to get home. Now, when I have linebackers that can actually cover, like Kazir White and Kobe Dean can cover you.
Yep.
So I got guys who can play. They can get spacey.
That's why
I didn't have space last year. Nobody on this football team in the middle or outsides could cover me or you. They just couldn't.
Well, that's why scheme is huge. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you can play cover too if your guys are getting in a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like you ain't got to worry about the getting beat on the back end. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna that guy ain't got time to throw deep.
Yeah.
So if you get home, hey, listen, I'm gonna play this little bit of an umbrella right here. And then go try to ball hawk. You know what I mean? You don't have to. I agree with you. So that would definitely be one part of your defense that you would, if you're going to have a weakness, you would want to, be back there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going
to 5 seconds versus like 7 or 8 seconds.
I'm not passing up I'm not passing up Ed Reeds of the world and Brian Dawkins of the world. I'm not.
If you get a chance, absolutely a difference maker, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing better than a Ronnie Lott and like you said, Ed Reed and.
All right, I'll even give him Malcolm because Malcolm became a great safety in this league, right? Like if there's one in the draft, I'm not going to be like, we don't do that. You know what I mean? We don't do that here. No, I'm going to draft the best player available. And I think this football team, I would say the last 3 years before the Devontae draft, right, we're really trying to be the cutest guys and the smartest guys in the room. I got to give Howie credit because I think Howie got back to saying, you know what, who are some of the best guys in college football, right? and not where they play, just who are some of the best guys in college football. And I'm telling you, I mean, last year's draft's a money draft if you really look at it. I mean, you talk about he got Devontae Smith. He got another starter in Landon Dickerson, okay? And then he gets another rotational guy who really showed he's got a motor in Williams, who Tom Donahue poo-pooed, right, in the draft room, okay? And then you go with this year's draft, and you look at Jordan Davis, Juergens, and then Nakobe. I mean, listen, these 3 guys got to go play, and the other 3 guys got to show they can continue getting better, right?
Yep.
But on the outside looking in of it, you're like, man, they're 2 really good drafts. I mean, listen, you don't make up for Justin Jefferson, honey. All right, we don't just say you made up for it. But listen, guys are going to make mistakes in this league, right? Guys are going to make mistakes on draft day. Okay, there's a lot going on. I get it. There's a lot in the ears too from your scouts, so it's easy to make a mistake sometimes. How do you fix it? What's your response to it? Do you go back to the basics? Do you go back when wins you football games? And over the last 2 years, they got back to basics. What wins? Oh, hold on. We need a wide receiver first off. Let's check that box off. We went back to the line, 2 picks in a row, and we went back to a guy in Dickerson who's a team captain, right? You went back to guys that are team captains. That fucking matters to me, all right? When you go about this many guys, then this year you go back to team captain guys. Nakobe Dean, team captain guy. I would venture guess Cam Juergens probably a freaking captain of that team of some sort, but I could be wrong. But you go through it. I mean, this is what you did.
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely, dude. They've done a very good job last 2 years. You know what I mean? And all you're saying, and there's just certain guys that are going to be, that are going to be linked to each other. And that's, that's not just sports talk radio. That's reality. You know what I mean? And so, and which road, which guy goes down, you know what I mean? So, that's why if Kyle Hamilton turns out to be the next Ronnie Lott, then Jordan Davis better be like Warren Sapp. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? And that's not knock on the kid. You know what I mean? I'm just, that's, you moved up, you went and got the big fella, and everybody loves it. You know what I mean? It's a mountain of a man. All right, but going to need you to be a little have a little Warren in you. All right, that's all. Give me a little comp right there, because if the other dude turns out to be, Ronnie on the back end, and you're gonna be like, shit. You know what I mean? That's all. But both very good players and first rounders. So we'll see. And
if you hypothetical gun to my head, I might.
I really like Hamilton. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Even with Greg thinking he was 26, it was nothing against him. I just thought
it's about
it was more of an Eagles need, and I just love the dude. I really do like Hamilton.
And Baltimore doesn't really miss. So that's another thing that you look at and you're like, But come to my head on draft night, and I was huge on Jordan Davis. I'm thinking Hamilton there. I am, okay, and this clip's fine. But my next best there was Jordan Davis. So if you're looking at it, and listen, if you're looking at it and you're saying, because they watch a lot more of them than I have, and I feel like I watch a lot of Georgia games, though, and Notre Dame's always on TV, too. I watch both of those guys. I mean, Jordan Davis is just a disruptive force. Now, can he get to the quarterback enough? Can he start to do some of those things? We'll find out. But his ability to chew guys up right now, like when you walk into the league, like Kyle Hamilton's going to walk in and he's going to have some adjustments that have to happen for him. Jordan Davis walks in, he's going to chew up blocks. Yeah. Now, does the rest of it come? When does the rest of it come, right, Sweeps? If Kyle Hamilton's picking off 8 balls a year and 2 of them for TDs, right, and he's that much of a difference maker, that guy better be eating up 5 blocks then if he's not getting to the quarterback or there's not tackles for losses. Like, I don't even need him getting to the quarterback. I need Harrys and I need tackles for losses, right?
Or other guys to eat, right?
Well,
or Derek going to have to come out in 10 sacks, right? And stuff like that.
Greg, look down the road. Look 2 years from now, right? And say there's no Cox, right? You're talking about a Williams and Jordan Davis. Well, with Williams' motor, if you one-on-one that guy, he might chew you up. So that's where that's not even as much of a draft pick for this year. That's a draft pick for the next freaking 5 to 6 years.
And that's
where you're saying I could put Greg next to this guy. He's going to get one-on-one. Because if that guy never gets to the quarterback, it doesn't matter. When he walks out of a locker room, and he don't play like he's Tarzan that plays like Tarzan. He ain't a Tarzan that plays like Jane. When I first saw him, I was like, is this a Tarzan that plays like Jane? Like I didn't like when the Sports Illustrated and all the covers and how he's gigantic. Cool. Does he play gigantic? Well, guess what? He at the highest level of college football, which is the playoffs, right? You would assume. That guy ate up everybody. So, and he's getting double teamed when the guy on the edge is a first round is a guy that's got way more upside than you and was number overall pick. Like it's amazing. Like that just shows you the respect he got. And not saying that what's his face didn't get double teamed because I'm sure they roll guys his way too, but. Ain't nobody get double teamed more on run blocks than Jordan Davis in the entire country. I don't even need an analytics for that. I don't even need a stat junkie. I can just book that there probably ain't a guy in the country at the college level that got double teamed more on running plays than Jordan Davis. No way. Passing plays, I don't know, right? Because they got a lot of guys that get after you on that front. But running plays, you can fucking book that. And guess what? How do you win in this league? You freaking I don't care if it's a passing league. You still got to be able to stop the run enough. Because if you can't, that's how you lose in the playoffs too. So you better be able to stop it enough. So it still matters. I know to the freaking the nerds out there that I love throwing the football too. I'll throw it 100 times. But the point is you got to be able to run it to win too. Okay? And you can't look at the few that have done it like without it. Like you can't look at what LA did last year. That's not even fair, dude. Their weapons on the outside, Matty Stafford, you can get away with not having a great running attack. But majority teams, you need to have balance of some sort.
And the fact that, like you said, he checks all those boxes, Jordan Davis. So I don't anticipate any issues or his career. Besides let's even let his weight go. You know what I mean? That's if he he has to keep an eye on that. Probably has to keep an eye on that. But you're also talking about the 13th pick, which listen, nothing to sneeze at. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, especially in this city and in all the 4 majors, when you miss in the top 5 is when you set your franchise back, right? And I think I think as Sixers fans, we twinge, we can tell you about that. We can tell you about
the Eagles are right there too.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying we can tell you about 3 guys right there. You know what I mean?
You got half of it.
We talked about earlier. That's 1 overall. I don't care if you're 18 or not. You missed. You want to go back to that draft. A couple of delicious puppies in that draft that turned out to have pretty good major league careers thus far.
Yeah.
So, when you're talking top 5, is when you really can't miss. You don't want to miss, in the draft at all. But, when you're talking about third, and I know they traded up, but so you're not talking about like, in the top 5, and that's when it gets scary, and that's where, they were able to have 7 degrees of separation with Wentz because, we know what everything took to get up to 2. So you can't really say that, well, they missed it 2 when they took Wentz. It's still, they got a Super Bowl out of it.
Yeah, it's like a half.
They got all these other stuff. They got all this other stuff.
That's true, yeah.
So you'd have to,
When was their last
to peel,
Their last top 5 was what before that was Lane Johnson, right?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I think
pretty good. So have they had it? They haven't had a top 5 since then, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. So maybe if the Saints aren't good is where you maybe see another one this year. But you're right, Sweep. That's where it can set you back. That one's like a half a setback just because you had to look for a quarterback again per se. And here we are. But they're in good shape. I mean, they really are. Anything can happen. It's got to be a healthy football team. So that matters for every team in the NFL. I'm not going to say the healthiest, but the healthier teams are the ones that are cutting the nets down. So you got to be semi-healthy here. At least you're big boys. And I know I said that in 2017 we were banged up, but we were. Those things don't happen often, right? I mean, those Cinderella stories. That's how you break curses. That's different. Right, that's different than just going to win one. Right, if you want to win one, that's a whole nother ballgame. You break curses in weird ways. We talked about Enter Sandman up 3-0 in a series, game over, curses end and break. Right, because when you least expect it. So that's a least expect 3-0 comeback for your first ever, right, to break the curse. Same thing with the Eagles. You lose a guy who's the NFL MVP, you ain't supposed to go win shit. So now your house money talk and you go win one. But in reality, it doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, usually. Usually, you got to be a healthy and a good football team. If you're talking about playing in a Super Bowl or an NFC title game, I don't know what our expectations should be for this football team. I don't know. My expectations is go win me a playoff game. That's where I start my expectations with this football team. Because again, if I have to know who this guy is before next year's draft, right, boys? We got to know who he is. I don't have time to wait. So he can't just win me 12 games, right? Now, let me take this back a little bit. If he goes and wins me 12 games and he's throwing differently and our eyes tell us that and they lose the playoff game, different conversation. But if we're talking about a gadget spinner and we're talking about not a true quarterback, more of a playmaker, and we win 12 games and we lose a playoff game, hey, this guy's not an NFL style quarterback. Then we know. So it all depends. Like you can win 12 games and lose a playoff game, but if you're throwing from the pocket, if you're decisive, if you change some of those things, then guess what? We're not talking quarterback next year. So, and I venture to guess to you guys, they don't make 2 first-round picks that next year either. That one of them's going to get traded for a future first the following year if they're not ready to draft a quarterback.
They might make 2, but you're right. I think they keep pushing it back. They might make 2 just because they drop down, right? They might take the Saints. Hey, who wants top 5? Who wants C.J. Stroud? Who wants,
They'll dangle the carrot. Yep.
And you drop down and get that other first, and then the next one next year. You're absolutely right. So the last top 5 after Lane Johnson.
What year?
Was 5.
Oh, was Don. And
was Donnie in 99, number 2 overall.
Yeah, and that's a hit, especially with what else got drafted. Like at the quarterback position. I mean, that was a brutal. Yep. I mean, those guys are laughing stocks. Kelly Smith, right? Who else?
Was it that Couch? Tim Couch?
Tim Couch. There was another guy too. Was it Gabbert? Was it Blaine?
No.
Blaine's
still in the league.
I know he is. I just thought he might be 40. There's another guy like that though. Oh God, stunk. Doesn't matter. Stunk. It might have been. He might have got drafted by Chicago. I feel like he stunk. But so that was a hit. So I mean, really, 2.5 out of 3 on top 5.
Couch went 1, McNabb 2, Smith 3,
McCown.
Dante Culpepper, Cade McNown.
Cade McNown, that's who it was, McNown.
Yeah, that was the
Culpepper
5
good,
first-rounders.
obviously. Culpepper was good, obviously. I mean, fun to come in with Randy.
Yeah.
But you know, he could throw the deep ball, and they were a
Sean
perfect
King.
compliment.
He wasn't good with the Dolphins, so I mean, right? Hey, fuck me, right? Signed him over Bryce. Hey, fuck me, right?
Brock Heward in the third. Joe Germain. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, one of the Jackson Fives, Joe Germain.
Yeah, one of the Jackson 6. They didn't even know about Joe.
Aaron Brooks had a decent career.
Yeah. He had a good career. That Saints offense was explosive for a half a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he had a good career. He had I feel like he had a.
I said decent. Yeah, decent.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at. I might have overreacted to him.
Yeah, a couple good seasons.
Yeah. But whatever. Listen, we'll see. So you guys all are over on it. I'm over on 9.5. I don't know how much more the starters are going to play in the preseason, nor do I care. I just get me healthy week 1. I don't care what you got to do. Like I told you, I don't get caught up in any of this. Would I like some more contact? Sure. I would like for guys to get hit a little bit. I think that's always a win. But I'm also just want to just get the week 1 healthy. You know, so I don't care whatever gets you. Because last year they were a healthy football team for the most part. So
that's what I was saying the other day. Like, you know, the way I was, I didn't play in the NFL, and I understand all the studies and listen, whatever you got to do to keep these guys healthy. You know what I mean? But
careful. Make sure you tell everybody
I like to play, bull in the ring every day. I'm a bull in the ring guy every day. You know what I mean? Like, you want to wear 36 Guardian hats, that's fine. Right? Wear a steel cup because we're getting after it. You know what I mean? I just, I get it and I understand it. And like you said, the biggest thing is coming out healthy. All right. But, if you're not used to tackling, if you don't know how to tackle, if you're not used to contact, then what the hell good are you? It's football, man. What up, Don?
Yeah, I agree. Right. So, like I said,
is this guy fucking serious? You're going to tell me about Herbert? We took Tua over Herbert. Get the fuck out of here, Don. But you're right. I know you did too. But Christmas.
Like I said, that's what I said. I mean, it doesn't at this point, like of careers, guys are, you would think, used to the contact of it. So you say, hey, get minimal contact, sure, keeps you healthy. Okay. Hey, whatever. I mean, like I said, if you have another healthy year like the Eagles did last year, then guess what? Then I'm going to buy into what you do then. I'll start saying, okay, like this gets us healthy and we're winning football games, fine. But if you're like, if you're the walking wounded and everybody's in to see the nurse all year, right? Then I'm gonna have a little bit of a problem with it. So I mean, they're playing a catch-22 because there isn't that exact right answer to it. It's knowing your group of guys. Are my guys ready for contact? Do my guys enjoy contact, or do I got kittens? Because you can get fooled. You can get fooled when you're talking about zero contact type stuff in camp because now everybody's Hercules. Right, everybody's tough when the physicality ain't coming. I say it all the time. And you remember your days playing football, so be careful saying you didn't play because Miles Sanders claims that none of us guys ever played football here. That was his shot at HUD. We didn't play football here, and I'd like to correct Miles that I'm not telling you that I played college football. I'm telling you I could have. Telling you I could have went and played college football. All right, didn't, right? But played football. All right? I know Uncle Sweeps, he played football too. So I mean, I took hits. All right. I call passes from a quarterback you call passes from. So in reality, Miles, we played the same level, basically. Yeah. all jokes aside. But, I love when these guys want to tell you what you did and didn't play. Like, first off, you don't got to play any sport to have a ton of knowledge of it or to have eyeballs for it. So that you can miss me on that one too. But for guys who did play, like you're in the wrong neck of the woods, Miles. Because I mean, there's probably, I can speak for me on the Sweets. I mean, we played 3 sports, Craig. I don't know how many sports you played, but I played 4.
I played football in high school.
All right, so there's a Mr. Salty for you, right? And so Miles, when you attack here, you attack Greg. Okay? You don't attack us. I mean, we are too. We are Penn State. I mean, but Greg's issues with you have been issues from day one. Where we're talking about guys not changing their stripes. So all I ask for a guy like Miles Sanders is to come in and have the type of year your ability with your ability, have the type of year we expect you to have. But the problem is when you're never on the goddamn football field, or when you are, right, you want to bounce and do stuff and play that game. Guess what? You're just a guy. You're a dime a dozen. But I told you guys on Wednesday night, Greg, this football team's going to have zero problems running the football if it's me or you running. Because when you talk about a quarterback who can move and respected, the read option opened up holes for running backs. And especially when you have a damn good offensive line and a top 5 in the NFL, you're going to, especially running the football, you're going to run the football at a high clip just because your quarterback's factored in for 700. Mm-hmm. So that's just like you're going to be a good running team per se. So I don't give a fuck who runs the football for this team this year. I don't care. I would hope Miles Sanders finally has that breakout year we've been waiting for, because it's a contract year too, honey.
Yeah, it is.
So if there's a time to run through a tackle, time's yours. Time's yours. I'll run through a tackle right now for $100K.
Don't worry about us. That's what I'm saying.
I'll fucking Oklahoma drill you right now.
Turn your phone off and go play football. Don't worry about us. Shit. We're gonna continue to do what we do. Just go do what you pretend to do.
Don knows my truth. Knows my truth. You know what I mean? And Jalen Ramsey's one of my guys. Because he likes to chirp it. Listen, I don't know. I was born with a lip. You know what I mean? I was born with a lip that wants to move and wants to say things. I can't to tell you.
Lipgate.
Like my guy inside who's sleeping, he's nice. Like, he's a nice guy. Like I don't know, right? But I would think when I was younger, I was probably arguing sports with somebody at 18 months. You know what I mean? My mom was like, "You should have been a lawyer because you just like to argue." So guess what? We'll see where Cass ends up, because I'm like, I told Len the other day, one day he might just go off the handle. You know what I mean? He might just where'd that come from, Daddy? Yeah, I gave him Dad. Just got a couple lips that like to move. But I respect an athlete that can talk shit. I'm not saying I can talk shit back. I'm saying I respect the pro athlete that can talk shit and back it. Well, where I draw my lines are the guys that talk shit and don't back it. Miles, Reger, right? Like, there's a lot of guys that got a lot to say, but have never done anything. So, like, just stay out of my crosshairs, because then we're going to expose you here. We're going to say, I see you. You caught 5 passes all year. You know what I mean? You dropped more balls than you caught, or you fumbled more. You had more fumbles than big plays, right? When you talk about Miles.
Exactly. Who you barking at? That's what I said. You better take your little chihuahua ass right back to that little fucking porch you just came off of.
And let me tell you another thing. If I had to play Jalen Ramsey twice a year, I'd hate him. Make sense? So, like, it's just I don't have to see him. So it's a guy that I like because I don't have to see him. But if he was in my division, if he was a Cowboy per se, I hate that guy. Hate him. Hate him. If he's a Giant, hate him. Who are you talking to? Then I get mad. Like, who are you talking to? You don't talk to Reger like that. We know he stinks.
But he's our stink pot.
So listen, football's back. Uncle Sweeps, looking for. He's got a quarterback with a lot to prove down there too. So and the weapons to do it, right? I mean, both teams. You talk about the Eagles and Dolphins. Really said, "Here you go, buddy. Here you guys go.
Here's weapons."
I mean, they got more weapons than we do. I mean, we got 2 really good ones. They're like, woo, me and you. Listen, I'm throwing. I might throw for 32 touchdowns with those 2 guys. Just on slant. Just slant and like bubble screen. Like bubble screen, slant, bubble screen, slant.
And then, all right, I got to go up top to Gesicki every once in a while. Okay.
Yeah, I might need a smaller ball than the NFL ball, a little big. But if I'm playing in warm weather like Miami, that ball don't become a brick. So we can swing that around. Yeah, we can strike that. So, I mean, but listen, both teams are in that position. Isn't it funny, though, how close our lives all are when you talk about this stuff? So, I mean, Tua, keys are yours. Here you go. Here's not only Jalen Waddle, who's a monster, right? But here's Tyreek Hill, who's been a monster.
Oh, he's pretty good.
Yep, and same thing here. Here's Devontae Smith, who's a really good football player, a good wide receiver, and we're going to go get you that true number 1 guy in A.J. Brown to say, hey, Can you throw it? Can you throw it? But I think, honestly, I know, sweeps. I have my opinions on Tua too, so don't get me wrong. But I do think he has a good year because it's almost hard not to. Because if you don't have a good year with that, like, you might as well just retire then.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I think he has a good year. Like, and this is, you can say about anything, but Miami's got as good as a chance as anybody else to win the AFC East. I mean, Buffalo's obviously the clear favorite. But they got, I mean, not the Jets, obviously. But when you talk about those three other teams, like, I don't know. Any one of those teams can win the AFC East now. It's not like the Tom Brady years anymore. Like, Buffalo is really good, don't get me wrong, but Miami can beat them. Miami's got the firepower to beat them.
Yeah.
Okay, Miami's got more firepower than New England has, which is going to be well coached. We know it, right? But they have more firepower than they do. And arguably, I mean, Miami's defense is pretty good. Pretty good. They've been pretty good for the last few years now. So that's gonna be a fun AFC East, and I think we're gonna have a fun NFC East when you talk about Eagles and Cowboys. And I think Washington's a little bit of a sleeper in this conversation too. I really do. And I hate to say it, but the Commanders. Commanders.
I would agree.
Good, well-coached football team. You know that.
Yeah, and they're going to be at least good on defense.
Hey, and you're talking about a guy's last chance, right? Sometimes when you back the line into the corner, right? He might not play well the last few years, but sometimes you back the guy into the corner, and it's your last chance.
He wasn't bad last year. I think.
I was about to say, outside of losing to Jacksonville, his stats were pretty good.
Yeah, he wasn't bad last year. He wound up being the scapegoat. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can't lose to the Raiders at home, and obviously, absolutely abomination against the Jaguars in a must-win. You win an end game. You know what I mean? So, he was the guy that fell on the sword. You know what I mean? That was the easiest one because that's the world we live in. Like, Frank Reich's not going to be like, well, I'll just walk out the door. That's on me. You know what I mean? Like, I brought him here. Oh, no, you might as well cut this guy's head off. You know what I mean? So, I'm not apologizing for fucking Carson, but he wasn't as bad. He wasn't that really. He didn't have a bad year. You know what I mean? Jonathan Taylor, had his, the year he had. So it opened up some throwing lanes and stuff like that, and he obviously still had his his bad turnovers. You know what I mean? So. There's no excuses there. So, but you're right. That's what's always plagued them. So, but yeah, if you're talking about a guy that's, if you're talking about an NFL version of Last Chance U, yeah, there it is. There it is, buddy. There it is, buddy. Welcome to East Oklahoma JUCO, whatever.
We know they're good defensively, or they should be. They weren't that good last year defensively, but let's see.
We lost Chase Young early on.
Yeah, so let's see what they are defensively this year. Offensively, I mean, he's got a guy like Terry McLaurin who's a weapon. He's got a good running back who's a weapon, a good young player there. So I mean, there is, and I know they drafted a guy this year too, a wide receiver. He's got.
Dotson out of Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, a rookie wide receiver. Yeah, Gibson, I like. Antonio Gibson, a good running back. And
coming off an injury, tremendous tight end.
Yeah, Logan Thomas, right? Yeah.
He showed his athleticism and showed himself being a beast. He's coming off big ACL injury, but looks to be back. But he was his little sample size. He was a beast.
Yeah.
I'm not scared to say that I think Washington could be better than Dallas. I'm not scared to say it. Like, they could be. I'm not.
Yeah.
Everything's got to get played out, but talent-wise, they're right there. I mean, it's not like Dallas has this crazy offense. Let's keep in mind something. It's CeeDee Lamb now. It's no.
You lost Cooper.
It's no Cooper, and I understand. I think that guy's soft. I've said for years, but he's soft catching 80 balls a year. You know what I mean? Like. I think
how effective is Zeke going to be, right? You know what I mean? Like, what is his effectiveness going to be?
Yeah, I think he's just going to be slower than he was last year. I mean, I think
what's Dak? To your point, I don't think you're crazy for saying that. You can say it. Like, I don't know why. Yes, do on paper, do they seem like they have a better roster than maybe everybody but us in the East? Yeah, probably. But they've had the better roster for the last few years, and it doesn't always mean anything.
Hasn't really meant nothing.
Yeah, I mean, granted they've won it the last few years, but that's not because they were head and shoulders better than everybody. It was just we were bad.
Yeah, I really do think Washington has a chance to win this division right with us. It
wouldn't shock me.
I can see Dallas not being a playoff team, where Washington and the Eagles are playoff teams. You know, the only team that I really believe doesn't stand a chance in this conversation is the Giants. But football is a weird sport, right? So I mean, you know, I don't think they stand a chance. Doesn't mean they can't be good.
I think the Giants are going to come down to is Brian Daboll able to get anything out of Daniel Jones differently?
Yeah.
Right. Being a quarterback guy, being an offensive guy, are you able to get something different out of DJ? That's the only hope they have.
Yeah, and that's not happening.
Because if not, then there's nothing else.
Yeah, there's nothing else. So I mean, might as well just start looking somewhere else, because that guy ain't the guy. Or maybe he is, you know, but I think we've seen enough of that. But he does have weapons there, right? So I think Kenny Golladay, you know, is Kenny Golladay. So I don't think he's, you know, Matthew Stafford, you see that drop off. Gave him way too much money, but they still do have weapons there. So, but I do believe that Washington, obviously, I think Washington's better than them. And I think, like I said, I think Washington has a real good chance of being better than Dallas and maybe even winning this division. But if you gun me right now, I might take the Eagles and Washington as the two teams that come out of the NFC East.
Wouldn't be crazy.
I'm just not sold on Dallas. I'm not sold on them.
They don't have the best offensive line anymore.
No.
Right? Their offensive line took a hit. Their defense took a hit.
I mean, I know Parsons is a stud and
right. No, there's no question. But their linebacking core isn't what it once was.
No, still good, but
still
not
good. No, they're very good.
They're like, I don't know. I think, you know, do they benefit from addition by subtraction? Subtraction by addition by subtraction. No, I don't think they do. I don't think making who was the third wide receiver there for a while in Dallas? Oh God,
Albert. No, not Wilson.
I'm just not there in my NFL right now. Who's number 3? Gallup.
Wilson.
Gallup. Yeah.
With a G. Yeah.
So I mean, him now in year 2. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it comes down to the Dak Prescott there, and I just don't know how good Dak Prescott is. You know, I think that's been proven. So we'll see. It's going to be fun. I think another division, it's wide open, and that's what makes football great. NFC East wide open out of 3 teams. Like any of those 3 teams can win it. People are like, you're crazy to say Washington, Tom. Okay, like I don't think I am. It's not like we have juggernauts in our division where you'd be like, what are you talking about, Tom? Washington with Carson Wentz? Yeah, with Carson Wentz. That Carson Wentz.
Yeah, the same guy.
I think he'll have a good year. He'll turn the football over like Sweep said, and at bad times, that's what he does. He's a good old-fashioned gunslinger. But sometimes when a guy's at last chance, this is where guys can break out. And I think, you know, I think this is where he does it. This is where he has at least a season where somebody's like, okay, this guy's a starting quarterback again. Because I don't know if Sweeps heard that before when I said it. We both like last chance you did, and you know, which is great. Just thinking on the same pages.
That was great.
Yeah, we both said it. I don't know if you heard me. I can barely hear myself, so I don't like my set. I don't like my away setup. Right. I need like a bigger SUV so I can bring my I can bring my mixer, my headset. I'm a lost doggy right now. I'm on the internal mic. Philly Liverpool FC says Washington is a dark horse team. They are. I mean, remember, they're a year removed from being a division winner. Or 2 years removed, sorry.
Oh.
Was that me?
Am
I good, Greg?
No, you're good. Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. Wow. See, I was just talking about the mic. Remember?
Yeah.
All right, boys. You guys got crumbs? Yeah, go ahead. Say whatever you guys are going to say.
No. I was just saying I definitely didn't hear you, so I don't know where the hell I was. But that's great that we were on the same page.
Yeah. Like probably like 3-4 minutes. I don't know, 3-5 minutes. I was on some kind of rant. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's. I'm sure you guys will fall in the same place. It's it's got to be Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, come on, like it's enough's enough, man. Enough's enough with the maturity level, and then to drop the ringworm on it. I mean, obviously, we saw the funny meme that the internet. We talk about the internet always being undefeated and just absolutely tremendous, but the internet is not only undefeated; it's right. It's right. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, yeah, exactly true. Like that's why people think you're full of shit. Like maybe you did, but like you could easily go to Walgreens and get some cream, dude. I don't I don't know what you're doing.
Is that what he blamed it on, ringworm?
Yeah.
I didn't even hear his comment. That's hysterical.
Oh yeah. He said he accidentally took whatever the hell the thing is to treat as ringworm, and that's where
my god,
that meme it came out with Manny yelling at him like, "Hey, you can go get whatever."
Well, my question to you guys is how dirty of a motherfucker are you that you're getting ringworm, bro? I mean, you work out the best facilities in the country, right? Like you just not showering.
That's exactly why. That's exactly why he ends up as a crumb and just an immature idiot because he probably didn't have it. You know what I mean? Like you said, to your point. You know what I mean? So it's just it's enough's enough. Like certain guys, and he's a young pup. You know what I mean? But there's just certain guys that you're like enough's enough. Like I've had enough of this guy, and and he's like 23 years old. So that's kind of sad. You know what I mean? But it's like. The whole, like you chalk it up as, and we haven't paid, we didn't give him, we didn't pay him that money, you know what I mean? But, if I'm a Padres, like you alluded to earlier in the week, Greg, like, or somebody did in our chat, like, you probably have to, maybe you have to look at dealing them. And even, AJ Prolo even said like, hey, we got some soul searching to do. We got some stuff we got to figure out because, if he's not going to be, if he's not going to take steps to show us, that he's matured, and it's easy to talk about it and say, hey, I'm sorry, my bad, or my bad. That's the famous thing in this day and age, and it's like, like, hey, listen, that gets old. My bad gets old. Like, just do something about it. Be different. You know what I mean? And that's, you started with, okay, you like to ride motorcycles. That's cute and all. And then you start with the reporter and say, which one? You know what I mean? So you started off your year with that smart ass, retort. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean, which one, jerk off? The one we're talking about right now. Like, okay. I didn't realize there was 4 other ones. You know what I mean? So maybe you knock it the fuck off. You know what I mean? So it started with that. And then, right before you come back, that's, I guess that was the one time to get tested, but you just be better, and like, hats off to Mike Clevenger, and and I'm sure Manny's going to drill him, when he gets to see him face to face, and they have a closer relationship. You know what I mean? And and I was close to using Clevenger as one too because he got in trouble before too, and I almost wanted to throw him in there, and I probably should have known that Tommy or you would have took Tatis, and maybe I could have took Clevenger, but I thought I didn't want to make this about Clevenger. I just thought I liked the fact that he was honest, and I liked that stuff, and holding your teammates accountable and being pissed off as a teammate. You know what I mean? But I also wanted to say, like, Mike, you could be one too, because remember, you got you were out gallivanting, you and Plesac when you shouldn't have been. When the world was shut down or whatever the rules was, whatever you feel about it, that was. Something that wasn't supposed to happen when you were in Cleveland. You know what I mean? So I digress. I don't need to go in on Mike Clevenger. You know what I mean? I did like his honesty, and that's it looks that Fernando needs tough love. You know what I mean? And I don't know where Pop is. Maybe Pop's back in the DR or wherever he's at, and he's not he's not around. I don't know. And I love Senior. Senior was a hard-nosed, tough player. You know what I mean? And I don't know how he raised him. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm just saying, like, at some point, you got to step in, Pop. You got to grab him by the throat. Grab him by the throat, man. It's time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's time, Fernando Sr.
Yeah, he's been, extremely immature player, tons of talent. And listen, not only does it hurt baseball, It hurts his teammates. It hurts the game. I mean, this kind of shit hurts the game. Like, I don't care. You can tell me about all your negative tests prior. What does that do for me, bro? So okay, that was part of his statement, right? Which obviously isn't written by him, but signed off by him. Okay, you want to talk about your negative test prior? Well, guess what? You popped right here, right? And you got to know the rules. So I don't want to hear, oh, I should have done this. Well, guess what? The sign of maturity is doing those things. You coming out and taking, like, it wasn't even like ownership. It's oh, I did this wrong and I made a mistake, instead of saying, you know what, I should have known better. I need to know better, and that's not said, and that just tells me that you're not maturing, And listen, I love that Manny came out and said something publicly too about it, and like Sweep said, he'll get him. I think Manny's become a great leader in his time in San Diego. I think he's developed into a leader, developed into a guy who looks like he wants to win. And,
almost into it because of a young buck like Tatis. You know what I mean? Even prior to this, you know what I mean? Like you said, like with that contract comes responsibility, and that goes both ways. You know what I mean? For you too, Fernando. But like to your point, just to validate, I agree with you 100% about Manny. Becoming a leader and stuff. You know what I mean? When that contract, he understood with that contract the responsibilities and what comes with that. You know what I mean? And young buck hasn't figured that out.
Greg, go ahead, because you're definitely not going to pick mine.
Yeah, no, and just to kind of close that up, it's just you wonder if the Padres can do anything with that, because I know they just traded for a guy that they would, probably love to transfer that money over to. You know what I mean? Like, you can get out of one contract and give that to Soto instead. Jeez.
Yeah, and they're not worried about it there because they're printing money down at that ballpark. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah,
they're selling out now. Like, not worried about the teeth, like worried about having the ink Soto. Like, they'll pay that money there. They just will, because
or they just get rid of them.
Yeah, or that's I'm just saying they have the money there because that ballpark does sell out every game. Yeah. Even when they're not good, it was selling out. When I was there in 2017, that place was sold out. Right?
Yeah, so it's crazy.
It's a beautiful ballpark. It's
and now that they're good, it's even better.
Yeah, like everything, I'm telling you, and like, I haven't seen every ballpark, but the location, the cleanliness, the parking, the accessibility, down by the water, like everything about that ballpark. That Atlanta's right there, like whatever it's called now, right? It's right. Yeah. But that ballpark's gorgeous too. Yeah. But the outside of it's gorgeous. Petco, or whatever it is now, is gorgeous inside too. Like, it's a great place to watch a game. So they sell out. Listen, the weather's gorgeous all the time. You're printing money. You're printing money down there.
Yeah. So I got two quick crumbs. First is going to be Scotty Scheffler. Who's playing with Cam Smith over the weekend at the St. Jude Classic. There's obviously big, heavy rumors that Cam Smith, after the end of the month, will be going over to LIV in the LIV Tour. Well, Scotty Scheffler obviously isn't a fan of all that and decides to walk right in front of, or right through, Cam Smith's putting line on Thursday or Friday. I think it was Thursday's round, which is one of those unwritten rules of golf. You don't walk across the putting lines, and that way, if you're wearing metal spikes, it could dig into the grass, whatever, right? So Scotty Scheffler pulled a kind of a dick move. And it did it right in front of Cam. So Cam's down on a knee, getting, adjusting his ball. And it's not like Scotty did it near the end of the cup that was so far away. He did it right next to Cam. Like, it literally would have taken 3 steps to go back around Cam, which should have been the proper procedure. So dick move number one, right there. And then another guy who finds his way into our crumbs on a fairly regular basis. It's a couple weeks ago. I'm going to go back. Mr. Gabe Kapler finds his way back into a crumb. For the second year in a row, the Giants gave Kapler a steak cake. A cake steak, like a tomahawk steak. And for the second year in a row, he did not eat it. He did not eat the cake, and he claims, I'm embarrassed. They said, they asked him if he ate it. He said, I'm embarrassed to say I did not eat the cake yesterday. I don't like to be forced into it on a day. If I want to eat something, I will just eat it whenever I want to. My grandfather talked a lot about the freedom that he had on any given day, and that the holidays didn't make his life any different or force him into making any choices. I feel similarly. If I want to eat, I'll eat. If I want to drink, I'll drink. It may be on my birthday, it may not. Even though a cake showed up, I don't feel pressured to eat it.
Not even like a finger swipe.
Nothing. Like, what a weirdo.
We know this. I mean, the
like,
guy.
what a weirdo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's talking about freedoms. Like having a birthday cake on your birthday is like imposing on your freedoms.
Yeah.
What a freaking clown.
We've heard a lot about freedoms in the last few years. So
what a clown.
Got a lot of weird freedom fighters. Here's another one.
No,
Mr. Gabe Kapler once again.
Welcome back, Gabe. Good. Not good to have you.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I mean, you guys used obviously there's three great ones. Like, you know, I don't care. Don't begrudge a guy that he's going to the live tour. Like, let guys make their money, man. You know what I mean? Like, if guys got a chance to make more money, then good for them. We weren't on last week.
No.
So here we go. All right. There's a lot of things. I'll start off with there's a lot of things wrong with youth sports as a whole, but as of yesterday, there was a youth football game being played in Dallas, Texas. Okay, one of the coaches was shot and killed. He was shot and killed. There was a big brawl. Like, a buddy of mine posted about it, and I messaged him. He's big into like the high school football scene here, and I said, "Hey, what happened?" He sent me the video, and it's aggressive, man. I mean, there's parents just throwing. This is 9-year-old football. Parents throwing fists. Okay, a lot of punches being thrown, and Aqib Talib's brother supposedly was the guy who shot and killed the one head coach who died in front of his 9-year-old son. Something's got to stop, okay? You got to stop. This has to stop. And for Fox Sports or whoever just offered him, I'm sorry, you can't. I'm sorry. I know people aren't tied to their siblings, right? I almost got to let that guy go for a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? I can't even have you on air right now. Not because you're not your brother, I get, but I can't even have you on air. First, you're terrible. And two, what's going on here inside your family? Like I said, a youth sporting event. Now you're a broadcast voice for the National Football League. Like, I know you're not guilty because of your brother, but I might have to, if I'm a billionaire, I take a step away from that. I just say, let me just continue this. But that's not the point. The bigger point is this kind of shit has to stop. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. So, for instance, Sweeps knows, Greg, you know, I mean, the past weekend, you know, we traveled 500 miles to play baseball, okay? Good, great, grand, okay? Nobody owes you anything. But what they owe you is just not getting somebody's way, right? And what I mean by that is we always talk about never put your fingerprints on a game. I shouldn't even know you're there. If you're doing a good job, I shouldn't know you're there, right? And I'm not a guy that sits around and argues balls and strikes. I'm just not. Unless the guy's just like, I'm seeing balls bouncing in the dirt, then I'm going to have things to say, right? Or if it falls over a kid's head. But I'm not gonna berate you over inside out, over what your zone is. I'm just going to ask you to be consistent with your zone, right? Listen, out and safes, okay? I expect that miss every once in a while, right? But it's the other rules. It's the rules, right? It's the rules of the game. So when you're in a playoff game and you got bases loaded, 7-4 game, and you get a ground ball to second base, that's not going to be rolled, by the way. It's not going to be rolled as double play. It was too slow of a transition and everything, okay? Well, my guy slides into second base, straight into the bag, okay? Could you maybe make the argument that he slid a half a second too late? Maybe, okay, maybe. But slides, and he sort of went past the bag, like through it. All right, now remember, you're sliding on turf too. All right, and when you're moving, guess what? Well, the kid on second base never really made an attempt. He never made an attempt to throw the baseball, which is because the play, when you really look at it, is actually more bang bang than we thought it was, right? Like on the eye test. And we have a guy called dead ball and rule out not only the kid at second, fine, he's out already, but the kid at first. And you travel a long way. Now, listen, that's a judgment call on what he sees, right? But the bigger problem I have is, and why replay is becoming, you're starting to see it in youth sports, which is egregious, okay? First off, I don't need to see replay in youth sports. But when you go to a home plate guy, your job is now, you're seeing everything, right? And your job, and when me and my dad umpire, we weren't perfect, But our goal was, because we cared about the sport and we cared about the kids, was to try to get it right. All right. So we checked our egos before the lines. Make sense? You check your egos. So you say, hey, did you see something different? And my dad would tell me. And listen, sometimes I didn't like it, right? Sometimes I don't know, man. He said, I'm telling you. And then you trust your partner. You say, you know what? If that's what you see, let's get it right. All right. I go there. Their meeting was egregious. Their meeting was like 2 seconds long, and I need somebody in the building. Like, there's UIC sitting behind the field. On a play like that, somebody take a walk down and let's try to get it right when you travel that far. If I'm going to East Greenwich 20 minutes away, okay, shit happens, right? But when teams are traveling, and not just us, you're talking about every team. No team there was from that area. Everybody traveled, man. So when I say to the guy, hey, we traveled 500 miles, I'm going to need you guys to try to get this right. I don't care how far you traveled, he said. Well, guess what? That means you don't care about what you're doing then.
Yeah.
You didn't lose as a baseball game. Okay, there's something that happened prior to that game that lost as a baseball game, right? But when I talk to, and Sweep does the same thing to his kids, there's a reason there's closers get paid a lot of money in this sport, all right? And big time buku money, more than you can ever imagine. It's because these 3 outs that are coming up right now are hard, right? So let's make it hard on somebody. And then we get bases loaded, no outs, and you run us out of an inning, right? You didn't ground out. No, you didn't ground out. But you also weren't the kid busting up the first baseline that wasn't going to get doubled up either. Make sense? You aren't the kid going hard in the second base trying to make sure it isn't a double play ball, right? And you go from first and third, 7-5 game, 1 out. Who knows what happens? We don't got crystal balls. Maybe we roll into a double play next pitch. Game over. I don't know. Maybe we hit a ball in the gap. Maybe we just hit a single. Maybe we hit a sac fly. I don't know. But what I do know is you didn't give that opportunity to the kids because nobody in there wanted to get it goddamn right. And it's one of those calls. Slee said it perfectly, and it's a great line. You swallow the whistle. Just swallow it. It's a non-issue. It's a non-call. There's nothing to see here. And you move on, and then make sure them get there. But what happens is, you see it in the video, is momentum was gone because now they're jacked up. So you just ripped it from them. We got them on the ropes right now. Even with that out, we still got them on the ropes, per se, right? Because those outs are hard. Give them an opportunity, and don't tell me you don't care. Because when you tell me you don't care, then I'm up in you. I'm up in you. Same thing I had in Georgia. Told a guy, we traveled 800 miles for this call. And he goes, I don't care how far you travel. Well, you might want to care. You might want to care because we're paying your bills. We don't travel here no more, and other teams don't travel because you don't care. Guess what? You have no tournaments umpire, do you? And I told the one guy's wearing a different shirt, a different color shirt. I said, how are we wearing different shirts, guys? That's 101. That's 101. After he made the call, I said, you don't even got the right shirt on. So I assume if you guys can't color coordinate before a game, you sure as hell ain't meeting and getting it right. Freaking losers everywhere. So, but good times. It was, it's nice to travel for sports. It's cool. But I just wish these guys would just care about getting it right. And not just in games I do. There was a game right after us. A guy got kicked out, right? And all he did was ask a question. So it's like, stop having rabbit ears with people. Stop thinking everybody's out to get you, because what happened in Dallas doesn't always happen everywhere either, obviously. That's a travesty and a tragedy and should never happen. But there's other people that just want to ask you a question. There's other people that just want you to get it right. Nobody's trying to come out on the field and fight you, okay? You know what I mean? Those people have no right to be around sports. But our job as coaches is to come out, and we owe it to those kids. And I don't care what level of ball, either the parents are paying a lot of money for their kids to play baseball, they travel a long way, right? Kids work hard since the winter time and travel baseball to get ready for these opportunities, right? You owe it to them to have that opportunity, right? And in high school ball, same way. I mean, kids are working their ass off, coaches are working their ass off, and in high school ball, coaches' jobs are on lines, man. And I'm not saying these guys' jobs are paying their bills, right, per se. But when you start getting up levels, jobs become online, become it, right? When you talk about coaches, even at travel ball levels, right? Like the ability to make more money in what you do also comes with winning games. It does, though, because then people trust. The trust in you is just natural. Make sense? The trust in, hey, I'm gonna bring my kid to this guy. This guy knows what he's doing. That all happens with winning. And when you rob that, like I said, like I don't know, I might need to be escorted out. if we didn't just come off a win somewhere where we'll feel like we're house money a little bit.
Right.
But the whole point is just get it right, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And the physical part should never ever happen in any sport. You know, I mean, at any level. You know, what I mean, even in the big league level, that should never happen. You know what I mean? So those guys should never have to worry about that. But they should always, they should always be accountable for, for doing their job, just like the rest of us. You know what I mean? And that's, and there's nothing wrong with a discussion or, what you see here or an argument. There's nothing wrong with an argument. You know what I mean? Things should never turn physical. You know what I mean? And that's why, as long as that doesn't happen, I don't understand why there would be a shortage. You know, I keep hearing that, there's a shortage of umpires and all this stuff. You know, people can't take it anymore. All right. Yeah. The guys, if somebody was assaulted like there was at, USABL, early in the summer, you know what I mean? Where, an older umpire, was, had his jaw broken by some, wannabe New York tough guy. You know what I mean? Like, 20, 30 years younger than the guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's absolutely, that guy should be locked up and never, ever, ever be coaching anything ever again. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of things, like you said, the example you said. But, other than that, it's like, hey, don't be that sensitive. Don't have rabbit ears and be open to having a discussion. And if you can have a discussion, like I said, if somebody warrants getting the gate, then give them the gate. You know what I mean? And go from there. But also remember that you're not doing charity work either. And that's the thing. Like, to your point, like you said, like, I mean, I don't care how far you travel. You should, because without us, there's, if we're not here and the rest of these teams aren't here, then you ain't making money. And I thought that was a tremendous response I got the other night, totally non-sports related, but I came home and I told this young lady, and I even told Christine when I got home, like I was at ShopRite and the girl that was wiping down like the self checkout thing. And I was like, oh, sorry, it was late. There was probably a half hour left. And I was like, oh, sorry. And she's like, oh, no. She's like, I'm just wiping it down. She's like, if you're not here, I don't have a job. And I'm like, you know what? And I was like, that is tremendous. I can't, I just want to thank you for saying that. You know what I mean? And I'm not being a dick. She's like, no, you're not being a dick. I'm like, that's just, that's amazing that somebody would say that, because you realize how many of your fellow workers hate their jobs and hate showing up every day. And I'm not saying you got to smile for whatever you make, or you got to be, and I'm not saying people in the customer service and in the retail business don't have to deal with absolute jackass consumers. You know what I mean? But it was very refreshing to hear that from her, because, and I said there, you're absolutely 100% right. I mean, but I don't say that like being a dick, like, oh, you're lucky I'm in here. You know what I mean? Yeah. She was, oh, no,
goddamn right.
Yeah. Like, no, I get it. And I was like, dude, that's kudos to you. You know what I mean? And I thought I would tie that into, to Tommy's point of, people saying that to, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's always something else you can do. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do what you're doing. You don't have to do what you're doing. But you're going to do it, right? Try to do it to your best of your ability. All right. And be open to some constructive criticism and some growth and some learning. And that's all.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, 7 years ago when I did it for 8 years or however long I did it for, I mean, it was the same. Nothing's changed. Like, if people had a hard time or didn't like a call, you heard about it. Right. And that's just the way it goes. But once I got to this point, right, where I got worn out by it. Not because I wasn't good at it. I was just worn out by the dopey parents that would say stuff that have no feel for life, right? Like, that's what wore me out on it. But guess what? I went and did something else, right? And I can go back and do it, because sometimes I miss doing it. But when I started to feel like that I was letting these people get to me, take a step away for a minute, breathe, man, because it ain't for everybody. Because you could be, I thought I was one of the best guys you would see out there because I cared about it. But guess what? I would get bang plays at first where somebody didn't like it. Somebody didn't like it.
I always tell these guys, hey, listen, man, just don't look at the big picture. Just look at the play you're involved in. Like, don't look at the big picture. Like in your example, like that guy, whether he's good or bad, got caught up in the moment. Bases loaded, all this stuff, and he decided that he's going to, instead of just saying, calling it like it is, it has nothing to do with is they able to make a double play or not. Like, that's not the rule. The rule was, hey, did this kid go out of the baseline and maliciously go ahead and absolutely blow this kid up. And if you answer that with true, then you're an idiot. All right. If you say no, he didn't, then there's no reason. There is no double play. There's just the one recorded out, and let's move on. You know what I mean? It's not about, hey, did this guy going in hard, playing the game right, affect their ability to turn two. That's not it. It wasn't hit hard enough, and even if it was, that's not the decision. The decision is, was it a legal play? Was it a legal slide? And it was. Let's move on.
Yeah, boys, like always, great show.
Oh yeah,
and like always, Will's not able to join us tonight. So he's like a Tatis trend. You know what I mean? He's like borderline Fernando Wilson. Which time? You know what I mean? That's what Wilson was saying. What time did I miss?
He definitely should have pissed in the bottle.
Yeah. Nobody tell UPS to make him piss in the bottle. For Nick Delgazzo, Greg Moravik, I'm Tom Arnone. For our doctor who sponsors us every Sunday, Dr. Paul Bedell, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Great show. If you haven't, hit the like, hit subscribe, turn your alerts on. There's 15 live shows on this platform and tons of content no matter where you're tuning in from. We love you all. You guys drive the shows here on A2D and keep helping making us the best in the business. We only do it with your likes, your subscribes, and your comments, peeps. So I'll see you Wednesday, and time's yours.